Chapter 23:14. Since Big Brother Doffing decided to follow Lin Yi, he naturally called him boss. Just call me Ing. Lin Yi said his previous code name. It was a code name he used when he was on a mission with Pangolin. Since it was revenge for Pangolin, Lin Yi naturally used this code name again. Then I will call you Brother Ing from now on. Big Brother Doffing said. You can call me Doffing from now on. Lin Yi responded faintly. He wondered if the third elder knew the location of the poison refining base. The car quickly arrived near the Firewolf Hotel. Lin Yi didn't let Doffing drive the car to the door. Instead, he parked it in a remote alley next to it. He was also afraid that the people at the Firewolf Hotel would recognize his car. Before getting out of the car, Lin Yi poked a few spots on Doffing's body and said, I won't unseal your acupoints. You can't use your hands and legs for 10 hours. Of course, you can use your true energy to forcefully open the acupoints, but you have to bear the consequences. Brother Ing, don't worry. In fact, even if you don't poke my acupoints, I won't run away. I will follow you in the future. Doffing saw that Lin Yi had the determination to destroy the Red Conches. So before Lin Yi failed, he wouldn't do anything behind Lin Yi's back. Of course, this was also because he had no other choice. It was impossible for him to sincerely surrender to Lin Yi now. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything. He strode to the Firewolf Hotel. Boom! Voila! Lin Yi didn't push the door in, but he kicked it in. Outside the hotel, a luxurious crystal revolving door was directly kicked away by Lin Yi. It directly hit a security guard sitting at the front desk and smashed him into a meat patty. The security guard didn't even make a sound before he died. Although this security guard was only a small character. The security guards here were 100% members of the Red Conches or the Firewolf gang. Otherwise, they wouldn't just watch a gangster take away a single female guest. Therefore, Lin Yi didn't sympathize with him at all. This sudden turn of events caused the waiters in the hotel to scream in horror. Someone actually dared to come to the Firewolf Hotel to make a scene? One had to know which of the local small gangs did not know the background of the Firewolf Hotel. However, there were also some brave waiters who pressed the emergency pager. Suddenly, the hotel lobby was filled with a loud ringing sound. Of course, this was the result of Lin Yi not being able to stop it. If Lin Yi wanted to stop it, these waiters would have already fallen to the ground. How would they have the time to press the beeper? A group of security guards rushed down from the hotel security room and surrounded Lin Yi, who was standing leisurely in the lobby. Kid, who are you? You dare to come to our Firewolf Hotel and cause trouble? One of them, who was wearing a different uniform and was obviously the security captain, raised his baton and pointed at Lin Yi. You guys are the security guards of this hotel. Lin Yi looked at the security captain in front of him indifferently. Not simple. A security captain actually had the strength of the middle phase of the golden class. It seemed that this Firewolf Hotel was really a den of thieves. Security? You can think of it that way. But in front of you, we are thugs. The security captain looked at Lin Yi with a cold smile. We only protect the guests of the hotel. For people like you who want to make trouble, they usually come in standing and go out lying down. Protect the guests? Lin Yi looked at the security captain mockingly. If he didn't say this, Lin Yi would not want to kill him. But this security captain actually said that he was protecting the guests. Knowing that Sun Jingyi was temporarily not in danger, Lin Yi laughed instead of getting angry. If that's the case, my girlfriend called me from the hotel and said that some hooligans spiked her drink. My girlfriend hid in the washroom and they rushed in to take her away. Don't tell me that you don't know, or that it was your people who did it. A trace of panic flashed in the security captain's eyes. Of course he knew about this, but he didn't think that Sun Jingyi actually had a companion here, and he rushed over so quickly. It seemed like he was a practitioner. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to kick the revolving door away. Even if he wasn't the early phase of the golden class, he was at least half a step into the golden class, which was considered to be a practitioner. Did you misunderstand? Your girlfriend was caught here? How is that possible? This is a legal hotel, not to mention hooligans. They can't even enter the door. Just like you. We found you the moment you entered the door. The security captain naturally wouldn't admit that they had caught Sun Jingyi. Since you don't admit it, then you can all go to hell. Lin Yi was already very angry with this Firewolf hotel. He snorted coldly and moved his body. The group of security guards who surrounded Lin Yi and the security captain, who was arrogant just now, all fell to the ground. No one knew whether they were dead or alive. The waiters thought that the matter would be solved when the security guards came. Usually, if there were people who came to make trouble, the security team would come, and those troublemakers would be carried out. But now, the situation seemed to be reversed. The waiters suddenly let out a burst of screams, and then, like a swarm of bees, they fled in all directions. Soon, they escaped to the upper floor of the hotel and disappeared without a trace. You sure left fast. Lin Yi smiled coldly as he used the fifth form of Mu Linsen's 8 trigrams palm. His 2 palms turned into 10 palms, hitting the bar counter, the wall paintings, the sofa, the chandelier, the bonsai, and all sorts of other objects in the hotel, turning the entire lobby into rubble. Is there anyone who can talk to me? The owner of this place, get out here. After Lin Yi smashed everything, he shouted loudly. His voice didn't seem loud, but it was condensed with a majestic pure energy, and the entire hotel building was shaken. If Lin Yi wasn't afraid of hurting Sun Jingyi, he would have directly destroyed the hotel like how he dealt with Zhao Qibing. In the surveillance room of Firewolf Hotel, the third head looked at the surveillance video of the hotel lobby with a hidden face. He couldn't believe it. What kind of move is this? Is it a martial art? How can he use 10 palms at once? In the surveillance room, he couldn't feel the power of Lin Yi's martial art, so the third head couldn't see what strength Lin Yi had. I'm not sure, but it shouldn't be a martial art. I've never heard of such a martial art. It should be a fast movement technique, a kind of external martial art. The Earth-class master, next to the third head, said after thinking for a while, N. The third head nodded after hearing the words of the Earth-class master. As long as it wasn't a martial art, it was fine. This person couldn't use martial arts, so he shouldn't be a master, Zhang Yilong. Zhao Erhu, go down and catch this person for me. Chapter 23:15. Although he didn't know where Lin Yi came from, the Red Conches were never afraid of trouble. No matter who Lin Yi was, he wouldn't be able to leave this place alive. Yes, Zhang Yilong and Zhao Eru were mystic late phase peak, the same as Dafeng. Of course, the third elder and the early stage Earth class master wouldn't make a move so easily. He was the third elder of the Red Conches, and he had the intention to make this early stage Earth class master the fourth elder. Both of them were boss level characters, and they weren't normal fighters. Zhang Yilong and Zhao Eru came downstairs, and without saying a word, they attacked Lin Yi from the left and right. As fighters, they naturally had the awareness of fighters. They didn't come down to bicker with Lin Yi, but to take down Lin Yi and send him to the third head. Looks like the boss here is a coward. He doesn't dare to admit to his actions. Lin Yi's 2 seemingly casual slaps landed directly on Zhang Yilong and Zhao Er's faces. These 2 mystic late phase peak didn't even know how they died. Their heads were sent flying by Lin Yi. Mystic late phase peak was nothing more than an ant in Lin Yi's eyes, and he could kill them with one move. Lin Yi was truly enraged. He didn't want to waste any more time talking to them. The fiercer he was, the more powerful the person behind them would appear. The third head's face changed in the surveillance room. He didn't expect that his 2 mystic late phase peak fighters would be slapped to death by Lin Yi as if they were flies. Fourth, what do you think? Since he wanted to train him to be the fourth head, the third head naturally called him fourth. I underestimated him. Old C's face was ugly as well. He didn't think that in the blink of an eye, 2 mystic late phase peak cultivators would be killed by Lin Yi. Although he could kill them as well, he was an Earth class, which meant that Lin Yi was at least in Earth class. Let's go down and meet him. Perhaps we'll have to return him to him. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. We don't have any enmity with him. It's better to take a step back. The third boss said with a wry smile. Just like that. The fourth leader was taken aback. I'm afraid this person came from the hidden plane or the ancient plane. Although we're not afraid, there's no benefit in fighting him to the death. Third boss said, people like us are like this. How can we not wet our shoes if we always stand by the river? I've made a mistake this time. Sigh. The fourth leader smiled bitterly and stood up helplessly. Then he walked out and quickly ordered one of his subordinates to take the woman away. Then he and the third leader hurriedly took the elevator downstairs. I'm the owner of this hotel. Brother, I think you must have misunderstood something. Our hotel would never do something like kidnapping your girlfriend. I'm afraid it was some gangsters who colluded with other security guards to do such a thing. I'm sorry, but I'll definitely investigate and give you an explanation. The third boss's words were very tactful, and no one could find fault with it. The security guards were already dead, so there was no way they could testify. It was just right to put the blame on them. Third boss? Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. This person had the strength of an Earth-class late-phase peak. He should be the third boss that Dafeng was talking about. And the one beside him should be the remaining Earth-class early-phase master. I'm an orphan. I have no brothers. Lin Yi frowned and pointed at Zhang Yilong and Zhao Eru. What are those two doing? Them. I don't know them. The third boss looked at Zhang Yilong and Zhao Eru's corpses blankly. Look at those two, they're not our hotel's security guards. They're probably friends of those security guards. Or perhaps they're in cahoots with those gangsters. Those gangsters are really strong. They have two mystic late phase peak masters as friends. Lin Yi obviously didn't believe the third boss's words. The third leader let out a dry laugh as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He had already taken a stance and admitted defeat. Yet this person before him was still so overbearing. Could it be that he really wanted to fight to the death? At this time, the third boss's men came down from the elevator and brought Sun Jingyi to the third boss. Boss, I found out that it was a group of gangsters who kidnapped Sun Jingyi. I've already rescued her. You don't have any strength at all. To be able to rescue my girlfriend from a group of gangsters with golden mid and mystic late phase, peak strength. You really are a weirdo. Lin Yi snorted coldly. Brother, I've already found her for you. No matter what the misunderstanding is, let's just forget about it. The third boss said faintly, I don't know your strength, but I'm afraid that if we really fought, you wouldn't have it easy. Is that so? Lin Yi saw that Sun Jingyi was safe and sound. Naturally, he wouldn't go easy on her. As soon as the words left his mouth, he moved towards the fourth boss, who was beside the third boss. Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, fifth form. This was the first time Lin Yi had used the third form of the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm. But even so, the power was still shocking. The third form of the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm was equivalent to the sixth form of the Frenzy Fire fist. This situation made Lin Yi extremely happy. The fourth boss was only at the early phase of the Earth class. Lin Yi didn't want to reveal all of his trump cards, so he only used the third form. But even the third form, under Lin Yi's modified form, had the power of the seventh form of a normal martial technique. Boom, dash, Lin Yi's palm landed on the fourth boss chest. The fourth boss only grunted before his body flew out like a kite with a broken string. He spat out a mouthful of blood and landed on the ruins of the bar that Lin Yi had smashed before, never to get up again. So powerful, Lin Yi secretly clicked his tongue. He didn't expect the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm to have such power. However, in Lin Yi's heart, he was even more afraid of Tagan Long. Tagan Long was only at the early phase of the Earth class, but his 5 elements 8 trigrams palm already had the power of the fifth form of a normal martial technique. Then, Wouldn't the fifth form have the power of the 25th form of a normal martial technique? Even if Taggin Dragon couldn't be like him, who didn't have a universal martial skill and could master any martial skill. Even if he couldn't master it, the fifth move would be equivalent to the 20th move. How terrifying! Lin Yi couldn't imagine what kind of terrifying existence Taganlong would become when he grew up. Chapter 23:16. But Tagangan had come at that crucial moment, and if Lin Yi had stayed even a second longer, Tagangan would have made him stay, power. In the end, it was all about power. Not being able to kill Taggin Dragon was still a hidden danger. He hoped that he would be crippled and unable to recover, Earth class mid-stage, but able to use the seventh form. The third head's eyes flashed with doubt. How is that possible? Stop pretending. You guys planned this, didn't you? Don't tell me that these security guards had nothing to do with you. I hate people like you who think you're smart. Lin Yi said lightly. Kid, you've decided to take revenge? The third head's face darkened, and his aura grew stronger. From the initial calm, it was now filled with true energy. His peak late-stage Earth-class strength was on full display. You may be able to use the seventh form, but you're still too weak for me. I'm a peak late-stage Earth class, and I can use the 10th form. You'll die if you fight me. Tell me where you're from. I don't care what kind of background you have. You have to give us an explanation for what happened today. Explanation? Who do you think you are? Lin Yi smiled coldly. Even if you're from an ancient sect, I won't let this go. The third head said coldly. Ancient sect? Lin Yi curled his lips. The third head paused, looking at Lin Yi's expression. It seemed like he didn't care about ancient sections. His heart sank. He suddenly thought of a possibility, a terrifying possibility. His voice trembled. Could it be you're from that place? That place? What place? Lin Yi paused. Phew! Seeing that Lin Yi's confused expression didn't seem to be fake, the third head breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he wasn't from that place, everything was fine. The Fire Wolf Gang and Red Conches might not be afraid of that place, but he was just the third head of a small branch. There was no way he could go against them. Lin Yi frowned and memorized these 4 words. That place? What kind of place was that? It seemed to be very strong. It seemed to be even more powerful than the ancient sects. You don't have to try to get information out of me. I don't belong to any sect, Lin Yi said coolly. No sect. A cold light flashed in the third head's eyes. Good, very good. You don't belong to any sect or sect. Since you don't want to talk, then stay here and pay for the deaths of my brothers. You finally admit that these are your people? Lin Yi looked at the third elder with a faint smile. I'm about to die. So what if I admit it? The third elder already had the intention to kill Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi didn't say where he came from, and the surveillance video also recorded this scene. Even if someone came looking for him, he could use the surveillance video to push the blame away. Even if Lin Yi really came from that place, if Lin Yi didn't admit it himself, then he would have died in vain. Who told him not to say it? Since you admitted it, then I'll admit it too. Lin Yi smiled slightly. Third elder of the Red Conches, I originally came to find trouble with you. If you didn't capture my girlfriend, I wouldn't know how to lure you out. But since you came here to die, you can't blame others. You know who I am? The third elder frowned slightly. He realized that he seemed to have made a mistake. From the beginning to the end, he thought that Lin Yi came to stand up for Sun Jingyi. But now it seemed that wasn't the case. Lin Yi already knew his identity and stated that he was coming for him. Naturally, Lin Yi said faintly, It's the famous Red Conch. You stole my car, so I naturally came to find you. Stole your car? You're from the Supernatural Investigation Department? The third elder was shocked and asked subconsciously. If it was a normal car, it naturally wouldn't catch the third elder's attention. However, Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee had the license plate of the Supernatural Investigation Department. It was convenient for them to cover for the drugs, so the third elder naturally paid attention. No, but I was the one who captured your second elder. Lin Yi said lightly, and that death warrior, I killed him as well. And your partner, the secular Houseu, I also killed him. Who are you? The third elder was getting more and more shocked. So this person in front of him was the archenemy of the Red Conches? But after connecting all these things, he suddenly thought of someone. You're Lin Yi? You know me? Lin Yi was surprised. He didn't expect the third elder to know his name. It really is you. The third elder had a look of realization on his face. Fighting an enemy above your level. Like I said, other than the people from that place, who else would have the ability to do this? So it's you, the legendary Lin Yi. Since you know me, then it's easy. If you don't want to die too painfully, then tell me a few things. Maybe I can let you go. Lin Yi said lightly. You? Let me go? The third elder laughed. You're an Earth class mid-phase, and you're talking to me like this? Earth class mid-phase can kill you. You can try if you don't believe me. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. The third elder was an Earth class late-phase peak, but the amount of pure chi he had was much weaker than the fifth protector. The current Lin Yi could even fight against the fifth protector back then, let alone the third elder. According to the theory of the fiery 8 trigram palm, Lin Yi's third form was equivalent to the sixth form, fiery fist. The fifth form was equivalent to the 10th form, which was the 11th form. It had the same effect as the fiery god bullet. Naturally, it would be able to suppress the fifth protector's 10th form. Of course, if he were to fight head-on, Lin Yi would probably be heavily injured. This was his last resort. If it wasn't necessary, Lin Yi didn't want to fight head-on with the third elder. Even if he killed the third elder, Lin Yi wouldn't feel good. And the most important point was that after getting rid of the third head, he couldn't ask anything he wanted to ask. Lin Yi, I don't think that we, the Red Conches, have offended you. The common house you did, and I have nothing to say when they were annihilated. The second elder and the death warrior went to find you, and I have nothing to say. But you came to the Red Conches headquarters for no reason at all. Do you really think that we're pushovers? The third elder laughed coldly and said angrily. Chapter 23:17. Then what do you want? The third head asked. Where are you going to send my girlfriend to? Lin Yi asked. I'll give you a chance to tell me the truth. If you insist on asking this, there's no harm in me telling you. There will be a heaven stage martial master escorting them to another branch of our Red Conch. I don't know where it is exactly. I don't have enough authority, so this is all I can know. The third head thought that Lin Yi was going to ask some questions. He didn't need to hide this question at all and could directly tell Lin Yi. However, if you want to find trouble with them, I advise you to save it. There are heaven stage experts there. No matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to cause any trouble. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Lin Yi was a little disappointed. It seemed that Brother Defong was right. The things that the third head knew weren't as much as Brother Defong. At least he had been in charge of the poison refining base before, and although the third head was the head of the branch here, he didn't know much about the poison refining base. Is it your poison refining base? Poison refining base? You know quite a bit. The third head was slightly taken aback and said, It should be, but I don't know much about the specifics. Your girlfriend hasn't really been sent out, so let's end this matter here, okay? We'll mind our own business. The third head actually hated Lin Yi to the core, but he also knew that if he fought with Lin Yi, even if he killed Lin Yi, he would have to pay a huge price. Now that all the experts in this branch had been killed by Lin Yi, if something were to happen to him, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau would take this opportunity to catch them all in one fell swoop. Then the third head would really have the heart to cry. Oh, I forgot to tell you. My father-in-law is Feng Tianlong, so go and die. Lin Yi had asked all that he needed to ask, so he naturally wouldn't keep this third head alive. Moreover, Lin Yi had his own thoughts. On the domestic side, the Red Conk's people had all been killed by Lin Yi, and only Brother Defong was left. It was likely that the Red Conk's headquarters would directly let Brother Defong take charge of the Red Conk's domestic branch. This way, Lin Yi would be able to plan a spy in the Red Conk, and it would be convenient for him to inquire about some secrets. Therefore, in order for Brother Defong to smoothly take charge, Lin Yi had to risk his life to help him clear the obstacles in front. Fiery 8 trigram palm, 5th form. With a roar, Lin Yi's aura instantly reached its peak. At this moment, the third head's eyes narrowed and his body moved. He felt that Lin Yi had the intention to kill. But what surprised him was that Lin Yi didn't seem to use his full strength when he fought against the fourth head. This was his true strength. Fire Wolfgang's ultimate technique, Fire Wolf Roar, 10th form. The third head cultivated the Fire Wolfgang's mental cultivation technique. He also used the Fire Wolfgang's self-created martial technique. Due to the restriction of the body's attributes, not everyone from the Fire Wolfgang and the Red Conk family could cultivate it. One must have a fire attribute physique to practice the Fire Wolfgang's internal cultivation technique. However, the strength level of each person's cultivation was different. It was said that the most powerful ones were those who were genetically modified by the Fire Wolfgang or those whose bodies were infected by rabies. They could accept the Fire Wolfgang's inheritance and become the most powerful inheritor of the Fire Wolfgang. However, this inheritor was different from the inheritors of the ancient sections. Although this inheritor was called an inheritor, it was not an inheritor. To put it bluntly, it was an expert who had the same strength as the inheritor and was transformed by the Fire Wolfgang. The experts who had been genetically modified by the Fire Wolfgang still had no survival rate, and the experts who were infected by rabies were also dead. So, at present, the Fire Wolfgang didn't have an inheritor. The Fire Wolf Roar martial arts technique was transformed into a Fire Wolf's attack. The third head's figure turned into a fire wolf and rushed toward Lin Yi. His hands turned into claws, like 2 wolf claws, with sharp and hot flames. Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect the third head's speed to be so fast. As soon as he made his move, he immediately responded. Compared to the fourth head's reaction speed, it was unknown how many times faster. He couldn't achieve his goal of a sneak attack, facing an opponent who was stronger than him. Unless Lin Yi used a Zhen Qi bomb, he could only fight head-on. However, Lin Yi didn't compress the Zhen Qi bomb. It came in a rush, and Lin Yi mainly wanted to try out his new move. The third head was not a heaven-class expert, and he was not very powerful. He was only a peak late-stage Earth-class expert. So, Lin Yi didn't use a Zhen Qi bomb, which could easily injure himself. Boom! The two sides' energy collided and made a muffled sound like thunder. Lin Yi's palms and the third head's claws collided and made a muffled sound. After the collision, Lin Yi and the third head's bodies flew out at the same time. Lin Yi and the third head spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time. Both of them had suffered serious internal injuries. Suffering internal injuries was something that Lin Yi could foresee. Although the third head wasn't a very powerful late-stage Earth-class expert, his strength was still there. His martial arts level was also there. It was impossible for Lin Yi to not be injured when he fought head-on like that. But Lin Yi's move was definitely not good for the third head. It was equivalent to a heaven-class expert's 11th martial art technique. Fiery 8 trigrams, palm 5th style. It hit the third head's body. The third head felt as if his internal organs were dislocated. This isn't the 5th style. After landing, it took a long time for the third head to catch his breath and said in horror, "Super modified 5th style." Lin Yi only needed to heal his meridians and internal organs a little. He just needed to make sure that he didn't die. He didn't want to give the third head too much time to breathe. He wasn't afraid that he couldn't kill the third head, but he was afraid that the third head would run away. Super modified fifth style. The third head was stunned. Eat another one of my moves. Lin, he said as he jumped up and once again used the fiery 8 trigrams palm technique towards the third head. Chapter 23:18. He was hit by Lin Yi, and his injuries weren't light. He hadn't even recovered, and Lin Yi was already able to stand up and use a second technique? That wasn't possible, right? Unless he was forcefully holding on. Thinking up to this point, the third head wasn't afraid of Lin Yi anymore. It was just a strong bow. There was no need to be afraid of him. Who didn't know how to forcefully hold on? Let's see who would have the last laugh. This was a matter of who had a stronger foundation and could last longer. He, the third head of the house, was an Earth-class late-phase peak, while Lin Yi was only an Earth-class mid-phase. Even if Lin Yi's martial arts were strong, there was no way he could win against him. Fire Wolf Roar, 10th form. The third head once again activated the Fire Wolf Roar towards Lin Yi, and the two once again clashed head-on. Boom dash, another loud sound rang out. Both of their palms and claws quickly collided together and then quickly separated again. Lin Yi spat out a mouthful of blood, and so did the third head. However, Lin Yi's face wasn't as pale as before, but the third head's face was very ugly. Not only was it pale, but there was also a black aura of death. His internal injuries hadn't recovered yet, and he was forcefully holding on against Lin Yi. Naturally, it wouldn't be good for him. However, from the third head's perspective, Lin Yi's situation should be much worse than his. After all, Lin Yi's strength was there for all to see. Of course, he didn't see Lin Yi's face. If he saw Lin Yi's face, he wouldn't think like this. After Lin Yi fell on the ground, he quickly activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to quickly heal his internal injuries. This time, compared to the fight with Su Shirhan, Lin Yi was much stronger. First, his strength had increased, and second, his martial technique had increased. If he were to face that Earth-class man in black again, even if Lin Yi didn't instantly kill him, he definitely wouldn't be as exhausted as he was before. Third head, how is it? Let's go again. Let's see who's going to die. Lin Yi stood up once again and looked down at the third leader as he coldly asked with a mocking expression, You can't be. The third head looked at Lin Yi's face, and he really couldn't believe it. At this moment, he almost couldn't stand up. Not to mention that his complexion was already super ugly, but Lin Yi was actually still able to stand up. Most importantly, his complexion was still so good. However, even though he was extremely puzzled, he had no choice but to force himself to stand up again when he saw Lin Yi walking towards him. He was a bit regretful. He shouldn't have forced himself to fight Lin Yi before. He didn't think that although Lin Yi was weak, his martial technique was strong, and his defense was also strong. After being hit twice by the 10th form of the martial technique, not only did it look like he wasn't heavily injured, but he could also use the martial technique again. Earth class, mid-stage. How did this guy become so strong? However, it was too late for him to run now. His body was covered in injuries. Not to mention the fact that he didn't have the strength to run away. Even if he ran, leaving his back to the enemy would be an idiotic act. The third elder didn't want to die without knowing why. At the very least, he wanted to drag someone down with him. I don't believe that you, an Earth-class mid-stage, is stronger than me, an Earth-class late-stage peak. Is there any logic to this? The third head held his breath, but it filled his body with energy again. He turned his grief and indignation into strength. He shouted, unwillingly, "Eat my fire wolf, roar 10th form. I don't believe I can't beat you to death. I'm not afraid that you don't believe me. I'm afraid that you won't make your move." After Lin Yi finished speaking, his body moved as well. The raging fire, fist 4th form. This time, Lin Yi didn't use the 5th form. After all, the 5th form consumed too much energy. Lin Yi was already injured, and he didn't need to waste his energy to fight with the third head unless it was a life and death situation. Plus, the martial technique was a bit too powerful. Although the third head was an Earth-class late-stage peak master, he wasn't that strong. In Lin Yi's eyes, he wasn't even as strong as the guardian who stood up for Jiang Wen. So Lin Yi was afraid that he would use the fifth form of the raging fire 8 trigrams palm and directly kill the third head. The third head clearly felt that the strength of the attack on his body had become a lot weaker, but he was still unable to resist it. This time he fell to the ground, and his 5 internal organs and meridians were all seriously damaged. Even if he wanted to circulate his Zhen Qi, it would not be smooth. And because Lin Yi was able to recover in time every time he was injured, this time, although it looked bad, Lin Yi knew that although the injury was serious, it wasn't fatal. He quickly circulated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, and very quickly Lin Yi's meridians and organs were mostly repaired. "How is it?" Again, Lin Yi quickly walked in front of the third head and asked. "Lin Yi, I underestimated you." The third head spat out these few words with a bitter smile. Even these few words were extremely difficult to say. It could be seen that he was injured to the point where he couldn't fight with Lin Yi anymore. "Do you want to be tortured to death, or do you want to live?" Lin Yi asked. "I can still live?" The third head was stunned. "Hand it over to my father-in-law, Feng Tianlong," Lin Yi said. "Isn't that still death?" The third head smiled bitterly. "It's just a matter of dying sooner or later. That's not true. Dying in my hands will be painful, but dying in my father-in-law's hands is probably just a matter of a bullet," Lin Yi said. "Say what you want to say. Since I'm in your hands, I don't want to escape." The third head was very straightforward. "Have you seen this person before?" Lin Yi bent down and showed the pangolin's photo to the third head. The third head looked at Lin Yi's phone in confusion, then shook his head and said, "No, I don't know this person." "It's okay, you go to sleep first." Lin Yi punched the third head and knocked him out. At this moment, the third head had no pure energy to protect his body, so he was knocked out by Lin Yi's punch. Although he already guessed that the third head wouldn't know about the pangolin, Lin Yi still couldn't help but ask. Of course, the answer disappointed Lin Yi, but it was reasonable. In the eyes of the third head and the others, the pangolin was just a small character. Even if they fought before, they wouldn't remember it. At that time, Lin Yi was only a golden class, and Armadillo hadn't even stepped into golden class yet. Naturally, he wouldn't have caught the attention of an Earth class late phase peak like the third head of the house. After knocking the third head out, Lin Yi called his father-in-law, Feng Tianlong. Chapter 2319. Uncle Feng. "I kicked Red Conk's base in the country and crippled their third boss," Lin Yi said. "Huh." Feng Tianlong froze when he heard Lin Yi's words. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be this strong. He even kicked Red Conk's base. One had to know that there was an Earth-class late phase peak master there all year round. Although Feng Tianlong really wanted to uproot Red Conk's base in the country, he didn't do it because of his limited strength. "Little E, you're in Qing Run City?" Feng Tianlong asked. "Yeah, you know that their headquarters is in Qing Run City?" Lin Yi was surprised. He didn't expect Feng Tianlong to know the location of Red Conk's headquarters. "I just heard about it. I'm not sure, but your car is in Qing Run City." "I just checked the coordinates," Feng Tianlong said. "You can see where my car is." Lin Yi paused, and his expression turned weird. He didn't expect Feng Tianlong to be able to see where his car was. If he knew this, he would have called Feng Tianlong and didn't need to find a local number. However, Red Conk was quite careless. They actually wanted to use this car to transport drugs. If they were located, they wouldn't even know how they died. Of course, the car's current location. I looked at the map. It should be Qing Run City's Fire Wolf Hotel. "You're at Fire Wolf Hotel?" Feng Tianlong asked. "Yes, I'm here." "Uncle Feng, You can send someone over, Lin said. Okay, I'll send someone over right now. I'm taking a plane over too. I'll be there later, Feng Tianlong said quickly. Okay. Lin hung up. He didn't expect the car to be at Firewolf Hotel. It was probably in the underground parking lot. He'll know when he goes there. Lin turned to Sun Jingyi. Are you okay? I'm fine. They didn't do anything to me. They just locked me in a room alone, Sun Jingyi said. But you look injured. I'm fine. Lin was pretty much recovered by now, so he was fine. As for the waiters and third head's men in the lobby, they were all gone. They only went into the hotel and didn't run out. Lin wasn't worried that they would run away. When Tianlong's men came, he would be able to catch them all. Lin closed the entrance to the underground parking lot and waited in the lobby for Feng Tianlong's arrival. Not long after, the sound of cars came from the entrance of the hotel. Lin raised his head and saw more than 10 cheetahs parked in front of the hotel. It seemed that Tianlong had realized that there were a lot of people here, so he sent so many cars. After the car was parked, a group of 10 or so men in black walked into the hotel quickly. The leader walked over immediately when he saw Lin Yi. Hello, you must be Mr. Lin Yi? I'm Captain Feng's subordinate, the person in charge of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau in Qingrun City. Chen Bai. Nice to meet you, Mr. Chen. Lin nodded and pointed at the third head in charge. He's the third head in charge of Red and Conches. You guys take him away. I've killed his practitioners. As for the other waiters in the hotel, take them as you see fit. I'm in room 1209. Tell Uncle Feng to come find me when he gets here. Okay, Mr. Lin, Chen Bai nodded. You can rest first. I'll take care of this. Oh, right. Delete the surveillance footage. I don't want people to know about my existence. Lin took off the 1,000 silk mask and returned to his original appearance. No problem. Chen Bai readily agreed. Lin Yi's request was a small matter to Chen Bai. Plus, the surveillance footage couldn't be leaked. Jingyi, you go up first. I still have something to do. I'll be right back, Lin said to Sun Jingyi. Oh, okay. Sun Jingyi was slightly surprised. Although she didn't know where Lin was going, she guessed that there were things that Lin didn't want these people to know. Lin turned around and left the hotel. Chen Bai didn't send anyone to follow Lin Yi. He also knew that it was easy for Lin Yi to get rid of the people following him. With their strength, they weren't a match for Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi naturally went to find Brother Defeng. Lin Yi still had a use for this person. Although the Supernatural Investigation Bureau had wiped out Red Conk's branch in Qingrun City, Lin Yi didn't believe that Red Conk would give up their base in the country so easily. So, when the time came, they would definitely build a new stronghold. And the best candidate to be the leader of the stronghold was Brother Defeng. Before Lin Yi went to find Brother Defeng, he first called his old man's phone. Lin Yi had never tried to control one of his own people before. When Lin Yi accepted underlings, it was because the underlings sincerely worshipped him because of his strength. However, Brother Defeng was different. Lin Yi couldn't watch him all day long, and in such a short time, he might not sincerely surrender. In this way, Lin Yi had to use some means. Little E, why did you think of calling an old man like me? Old Man Lin had just sent away a patient from the same village. At this time, he was drying medicinal herbs in the yard. He was a little puzzled when he received a call from Lin Yi. Old man, let me ask you something. I want to control a person and make this person do things for me. What should I do? Lin Yi asked. This person might not sincerely surrender to me. If I leave, it's not easy to control. Oh, poison him. After Old Man Lin heard it, he said very easily. Poison? Lin Yi was slightly stunned and didn't quite understand. That kind of slow-acting poison. Give him some antidote after a year or two. If he doesn't take it, he will die. Moreover, it's not easy for others to detoxify the poison. Old Man Lin said, I don't need to teach you this, right? There are a lot of books that you often read in the past, such as 7 Bugs, 8 Herbs Poison, 9 Deaths Poison, and so on. I understand. Lin nodded. He didn't think of it before. His medical skills were mainly used to save people, but he never thought of harming people. How have you been recently? Did you encounter any trouble? Old Man Lin asked. It's all right. There were some troubles, and it was a narrow escape, but they were all solved. Lin, he said. And if you don't experience life and death, you won't get experience. An uncut jade will not be useful. Old Man Lin said faintly. Chapter 2320. Although Lin didn't know what Old Man Lin was trying to express, Lin knew that he wanted to make himself stronger. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Although the herbs in the poison recipe weren't easy to buy, Lin sent a text to Feng Tianlong and asked him to bring them on the way. These things shouldn't be difficult for Feng Tianlong, since there weren't any rare herbs. Feng Tianlong quickly replied that there was no problem. Lin put on the 1,000 silk mask and came to the alley where Brother Dafeng parked his car. Brother Dafeng waited in the car obediently, but he couldn't move his hands and feet, so he couldn't walk far. However, Lin still paid attention to the position of Brother Dafeng's hands and feet. Since he left, he hadn't moved at all. In other words, Brother Dafeng didn't try to struggle. Otherwise, if he moved, the position of his hands and feet would definitely change. This made Lin secretly nod. This Brother Dafeng could still be used. Brother you're back? Brother Dafeng was a little happy to see Lin back. Although Lin seemed to be covered in blood, Lin came back very calmly. He didn't run back. This meant that Lin dealt with the third head in charge and his men. Lin opened the door and got in the car. The third head in charge's men are all dead. He's disabled. I asked the people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to take him away. I don't think he'll come back. Congratulations, Brother Ing. Brother Dafeng quickly said. Brother Ing, Dafeng, will follow you from now on. Where are we going next? Nowhere for now. Lin looked at Brother Dafeng and asked, Dafeng, is your hand okay? Is it serious? It's nothing. I'm a cultivator with the strength of the peak late phase mystic class. This small injury won't affect me. I can even fly a plane. Big Brother Dafeng grinned. In fact, he was a little depressed in his heart. Lin had stepped on his hand quite hard. Although there was no problem using it normally, he couldn't use it in the future. For a cultivator, it was basically half crippled. Lin nodded and took Dafeng's hand. He channeled the second stage of the art of dragon mastery and quickly healed the injury on his hand. Then he said, You can't be crippled when I ask you to work for me. But if you fail, I don't mind sending you to see Third Master. My hand is healed. Big Brother Feng looked at his hand that was as good as new and was immediately surprised and overjoyed. Although he had said so before, he was still a little unhappy. After all, he was a cultivator. A hand that could only do ordinary things was no different from a cripple to him. Now that it was cured, he was really happy. However, after a while, he quickly said, Brother Ing, don't worry. In the future, Dafeng will be yours. I will do whatever you want me to do. I'll let you stay here and take over Red Conk's branch, becoming the big boss. Is that okay? Lin said. Me, First Master? Big Brother Feng was stunned. He didn't expect Lin to make such a request. Before this, he didn't think about it. He just wanted to help Lin after he escaped with Lin. He didn't expect that Lin would let him take over from Third Master and become the First Master of the Red Conch branch. Don't tell me that you don't have any connections in the Red Conch headquarters after so many years. Since you can be transferred from that difficult place to enjoy here, you should have a way, right? Lin asked. I do have a way, but my strength is too low. Even if my strength isn't as high as the peak late phase of the Earth class, I need to at least reach the Earth class. Otherwise, the headquarters will still send one or more Earth-class experts here. Big Brother Feng said hesitantly, I will let you advance to the Earth class. Have you heard of the small chi gathering pill? I can provide you with one to help you advance to the early phase of the Earth class. The rest is up to you. Lin, he said, as for how to stop them from sending people over, I don't need to teach you, right? You said that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau is keeping a close eye on you. If a cultivator enters the country, it will be easy for them to target you. As a local force, you have an advantage. I understand, Brother Ing. Thank you so much. Big Brother Feng said solemnly, if I have the small chi gathering pill, then I have the confidence to become the first master of the branch. When you stabilize your position, think of a way to move around in the future. It's best if you can be transferred to the poison base as a person in charge or something. If that doesn't work, find out more about the poison base. Lin, he said. Okay, I understand. Big Brother Feng nodded. Then that's it for now. Make your own plans and hide first. When the Supernatural Investigation Bureau takes third master and the others away, then come out, Lin, he said. Yes, Brother Ing. Big Brother Feng quickly responded. Lin, he went straight back to Fire Wolf Hotel. Chin Bai had already started to clean up the battlefield. The people related to Red Conches were all sent to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's base. Chin Bai was just waiting for Feng Tianlong and Lin Yi. Lin Yi greeted Chin Bai and went upstairs. Sun Jingyi saw Lin Yi coming back and let out a sigh of relief. Finally, it's fine. I didn't expect so many things to happen in this line of work. Sun Jingyi said emotionally. It's all because of me. Thank you, Lin Yi. You don't have to say that. The incident in Qing Run City helped me a lot. If I didn't lose my car, I wouldn't have found my way here, Lin Yi said. Anyway, I'll remember it in my heart. Sun Jingyi said to Lin Yi very seriously and sincerely, ever since I was young, I've never had someone care about me so much. Don't tell me you're so touched that you fell in love with me. Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingyi's expression and asked with a smile, A little bit. Sun Jingyi nodded seriously. It's just that you seem to have too many girlfriends. I only have one lover, Lin Yi said. Aren't you going to heal? Sun Jingyi blushed. She was a little embarrassed and changed the topic. Huh. Lin Yi smiled. It turned out that Sun Jingyi could be embarrassed too. Shaking his head, Lin Yi didn't tease her. He sat cross-legged on the bed and started to use the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal. In fact, the injuries in Lin Yi's body weren't serious. It wouldn't be a problem if he treated it sooner or later. In the blink of an eye, it was night time. Feng Tianlong came with the ingredients that Lin Yi needed to make poison. Chapter 23-21. But at the dinner table, Sun Jingyi felt weird and embarrassed. Tianlong was Xiao Xiao's father. Xiao Xiao was Lin Yi's girlfriend, and she was sitting with Lin Yi. What was going on? Even if Sun Jingyi knew that she didn't do anything with Lin Yi, they still came out from the same room. It was hard to guarantee that Tianlong wouldn't think too much about it. But what confused Sun Jingyi was that Tianlong didn't even ask a single question about it. His attitude toward Sun Jingyi was very friendly, and he even smiled and said that he was an old friend of House Sun and had a good relationship. Lin Yi, have you contacted Xiao Xiao recently? Tianlong asked Lin Yi after dinner. No, but Yao Yao and the others seem to have contacted Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi shook his head. They said that Xiao Xiao wanted me to find a big wife, so I don't know what's going on. Tianlong paused, then smiled. He understood what was going on. Meng Yao told him about Lin Yi and Tang Yin, and Lin Yi probably remembered that he had a big wife or something. So Meng Yao and Xiao Xiao discussed it and changed it to a big wife. Tianlong naturally knew what his daughter was thinking, but he didn't say anything. As for Sun Jingyi, Tianlong didn't have any complaints. His daughter liked Lin Yi back then, and if it wasn't for Tang Yin, she wouldn't be where she is today. So, whoever Lin Yi was with, as long as Xiao Xiao and Tang Yin were willing, he didn't care. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, Xiao Xiao would have died a long time ago. Oh, I think Xiao Xiao told me before that she wanted you to find a big wife. Tianlong nodded, confirming this. Is that so? Lin Yi heard Tianlong say this and believed it, but he felt that it was a little weird. Haha, all right. I'll be heading back first. This time, it's all thanks to your help. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to catch this third manager. Tianlong said, but this is just a division of the Red Conches. Capturing their people will only make them stop for a while. It won't hurt them too much. Let's hope that we can get something useful this time. Lin Yi nodded but didn't explain much. The things the third master knew were limited, and Lin Yi had asked everything he needed to ask. Feng Tianlong probably wouldn't be able to get anything useful out of him. If the first master and second master had already told him, why would he wait for the third master? As for the third head strength, there was nothing to be afraid of. He was heavily injured, and it was impossible for him to rely on himself to recover. Without those minor reversion pills and meridian opening pills, he would be crippled for life. After Feng Tianlong left, the Firewolf Hotel was sealed. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi naturally couldn't stay here anymore. Even if they did, there wouldn't be any waiters left. Those related to the Red Conches were all arrested, and those who weren't were all gone. All that was left was an empty building. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi first found another hotel to stay in. After Lin Yi made the poison, he called Dafeng Bro and told him to find him at the hotel. Before Dafeng Bro came, Lin Yi called Han Xiaopa. Boss, long time no see. I heard that you haven't been going to school recently? Han Xiaopa's hidden house Han had distant relatives in Donghai Industry University, but Wang Xinyan's kidnapping was only known by a few people close to Mengyao. Naturally, Han Xiaopa didn't receive any news. And I have something to do, so I have to go far away. Lin Yi said, how are things on your side? The cultivators market you told me about last time. When will it start trading? That will have to wait, Han Xiaopa said. If there is, I will inform you in advance. That's good. Oh, right. I called you this time to borrow a small qi gathering pill. I will return it to you when I go back. Lin Yi thought that after he went back, Han Jingjing should be able to mass-produce small qi gathering pills. Although the materials for small qi gathering pills were hard to find, he had extorted some from the hidden house you. Okay, but how do I give it to you? Han Xiaopa agreed without thinking. I'm at Qing Run City's XX Hotel. You can use the fastest flying fish express to send it. It should arrive in a day. Lin Yi said. Okay, I will send it to you now. Han Xiaopa agreed. After the call with Han Xiaopa, Dafeng Bro hadn't arrived yet. Conch Bar didn't suffer any damage this time. This was an excuse for Dafeng Bro's lucky escape. Otherwise, how could Dafeng Bro not be caught when the third head of the house was caught? Dafeng Bro temporarily returned to Conch Bar to contact the headquarters to clean up the mess. Did you call Wu Qintian and the others? Lin Yi asked. Not yet. I was just about to contact them when this happened. I just got my phone back. I didn't have time to call them yet. Sun Jingyi said. Then I'll call them. Lin Yi nodded. He had just relaxed, and things had come to an end. Lin Yi called the miss directly. Meng Yao picked up and saw that it was Lin Yi. She was a little emotional. Too many things had happened in the family these days. There were happiness, there was sadness, there were setbacks, but the final result was good. Meng Yao was one of the pillars of the family after Lin Yi left. She had to take care of Wu Qintian and Elder Pai, and she also had to actively tell them that Lin Yi said he would be back soon. But although Meng Yao said that there was no news of Lin Yi at all, everyone thought that Meng Yao and Lin Yi had contacted each other. But Meng Yao herself knew that she didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. She didn't even dare to make a phone call. However, she had to act like she knew everything and tell everyone not to worry. Everything would be fine once Lin Yi was back. So, when she saw the phone call today, Meng Yao was very, very happy. The miss, who usually didn't show her emotions, was excited for the first time. Lin Yi, you're coming back soon? Yeah, I'll be back soon. In 2 days. Lin Yi paused. He didn't expect the miss to say something like that. That's good. Meng Yao breathed out in relief. As long as you're back soon. What's wrong? Did something happen? Lin Yi frowned. His sharp senses told him that something was wrong. Chapter 23-22. You're inviting Wang Xinyan to your house. Lin Yi's expression was a little weird. The miss was inviting Wang Xinyan to her house? Why did it feel so weird? You're gone. There's no point in staying at home, so I invited her. I don't have any other intentions. The miss was a smart girl, but she was too worried about Lin Yi's well-being. Saying something like that would make it seem like she was hiding something. Let's not talk about that first. Let's talk about Xinyan's kidnapping first. Yeah. Lin Yi was concerned about Xinyan as well, but he was sure that everything was fine now, so he wasn't too worried. At that time, Wu Qintian went after the kidnappers. Meng Yao said as she told Lin Yi about how Qintian was injured and how Old Pai came to help. Wu Qintian was injured. Old Pai was injured as well. Lin Yi frowned. The two weren't in life-threatening danger, so Lin Yi wasn't too worried. What he was worried about was who the enemy was, to be able to injure Old Pai. With that thought, Lin Yi was eager to go home. I'll go back as soon as I'm done here. Right, what did Lingshan say about the kidnappers? There's no news from Lingshan, sis. She'll call me as soon as she hears anything, Meng Yao said. But even though the kidnappers were caught, there were still a few more kidnappings happening in Donghai, and the victims were all students with some money. So it seems like Xinyan's kidnapping was a bit of a coincidence. I heard that there was a gangster whose daughter was kidnapped as well. The golden class bodyguard he assigned to his daughter was injured as well. Oh, could it be a coincidence? Lin Yi calmed down a little after hearing that. It wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't targeted at him and Xinyan, but it seemed like it was more of a coincidence. After all, there were a lot of people who were kidnapped as well. It's possible, but Xinyan's been a lot more careful these days. She's been staying at school, and I don't dare ask her out anymore. Meng Yao said, I understand, I'll be back soon. Tell Qintian and Elder Pai not to worry, I'll heal them when I get back. Also, send that Pai Zhihai to the villa, I'll heal him too, Lin Yi said. All right, I'll tell them now. Meng Yao spoke to Lin Yi on the phone, and knowing that Lin Yi's matter was over, she felt much more at ease. She turned around and left the room to tell Qintian, Pai Zhishan and Elder Pai the good news. But when he turned around, he saw Yushu. Yao Yao, you're so mean, calling Shield Bro behind my back. Yushu put her hands on her waist and giggled behind Meng Yao. Shu, when did you come in? Meng Yao jumped in fright. She was too excited to even notice that someone had entered the room. Just now, I came in when you were talking to Shield Bro, Yushu said. So Yao Yao still likes Shield Bro. You looked so happy when Shield Bro called. Did I? Meng Yao blinked. How could Yushu see her when she was behind her? She raged. You lied to me? Watch how I punish you. Ah, don't. Hurry up and tell Qintian and the others the good news. Yushu turned and ran away. Meng Yao blushed as she looked at Yushu's back. She touched her burning cheeks. Was she really that happy just now? It did seem like it. Lin Yi's call swept away all the frustrations she'd been feeling for the past few days. But it was all because of the things at home. What did it have to do with her liking Lin Yi? Right, it shouldn't. Meng Yao turned around and left the room to tell Qintian and the others the good news. Qintian had long since guessed that the day Lin Yi came back would be the day he'd fully recover, so he wasn't too happy or sad about it. But Pai Zhishan and Elder Pai were different. Meng Yao said that she'd been in contact with Lin Yi these days, but Lin Yi didn't give them a definite answer. He didn't know when he'd come back, or if he could save them. Today, however, Lin Yi had Elder Pai bring Pai Jihai over as well. This meant that Lin Yi agreed to treat Jihai. Elder Pai was very excited. Even if his injuries couldn't be healed, he'd accept it if he could cure Jihai. Plus, Lin Yi said that his and Qintian's injuries weren't a problem. "Thank you for talking to Mr. Lin, Miss Chu." Elder Pai quickly thanked. "I'll have someone send Jihai over now." "Okay, you guys get ready. I'll be going back to my room to rest." Meng Yao relayed the news and breathed out in relief. At Qingrun City's XX Hotel, Duffing Bro had rushed over, but when he entered Lin Yi's room, he paused and said subconsciously, "I'm sorry, I went to the wrong room." Duffing Bro didn't know Sun Jingyi, and he didn't know Lin Yi without the 1,000 silk mask. That was why he thought he went to the wrong room. "That's right, come in, Duffing," Lin Yi said. "Ah." Duffing Bro froze when he heard Lin Yi's voice, but reacted quickly. He looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. You're Eagle Bro?" "Yes," Lin Yi nodded faintly. After Duffing Bro got a definite answer, he quickly entered the room and closed the door. He said carefully, "Eagle Bro, I've already reported what happened here to the Red Conch headquarters. My backer." But I didn't mention Eagle Bro's name. I only said that Feng Tianlong from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau invited external help and uprooted Firewolf Hotel. "And he didn't ask you why your conch bar was fine?" Lin Yi asked. "He did." Duffing Bro nodded. "But I said that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau probably didn't find this clue, or else it wouldn't be fine. So he believed you?" Lin Yi asked. "Of course he believed me. I was promoted by him, and I give him a lot of money every year. He's happy that I'm fine, and he's preparing to make me the boss here," Duffing Bro said. "I also revealed to him that I accidentally got a small qi gathering pill, but I didn't take it before because it wasn't the right time. Now that things are going well, I'll take it, and he'll be more confident." Chapter 23. Poison. Big Brother Feng was stunned. "What's this poison for? Brothering, are you trying to poison me?" "That's not right. The poison won't kill you. You must take the antidote every year to suppress it. Otherwise, you will die from the pain. It will be more painful than the pain you experienced before," Lin Yi explained. "Okay." Big Brother Feng listened to Lin Yi's explanation and nodded. He took the poison pill from Lin Yi's hand without hesitation and swallowed it. It surprised Lin Yi. "You ate it? Aren't you worried that I won't give you the antidote?" Lin Yi asked in surprise. "If I do my job well, why wouldn't Brother give me the antidote?" Big Brother Feng said calmly, "In the future, I will do my best to help Brother gather information and become the person in charge of the poison refining base. Brother won't treat me badly." "It's good that you think that way." Lin Yi nodded with satisfaction. "If you do your best, I won't treat you badly in the future. You advancing to the early phase of Earth class is just the beginning. In the future, I will help you advance to the middle phase or even the late phase of Earth class. It's not impossible for you to step into Heaven class." Once Lin Yi became a Heaven class master, the people around him could all become Earth class masters at the peak of the late phase. This was not a joke. It was just that Lin Yi didn't expect Big Brother Feng to be so determined to work for him. This surprised Lin Yi a little. Previously, he showed his true face because he wanted to give Big Brother Feng the poison. In the future, Big Brother Feng would be his subordinate, so there was no need to hide. It would be easier to do things if Big Brother Feng knew his true identity. Now it seemed that Lin Yi had underestimated Brother Dafeng's ambition. This guy had a good eye. In fact, Big Brother Dafeng naturally had good eyesight. Lin Yi had crippled the third head, killed the third head's men, and came back alive and kicking. No matter how stupid Big Brother Dafeng was, he knew how capable Lin Yi was. Moreover, Lin Yi was really generous, giving him a small qi gathering pill. He had worked in the Red Conch for so many years, but he had never received such a good pill. Of course, on one hand, it was because there was no one in Red Conch who was good at alchemy. On the other hand, there were not many people who dared to use the biochemical drugs produced by the Fire Wolf gang. Apart from the Fire Wolf inheritance potion that was more mature and stable, the others were all experimental products. Who would dare to use them indiscriminately? As a result, Duffing Bro felt that there wasn't much of a future in Red Conch, and that he might as well change bosses and follow Lin Yi. For a practitioner at his level, money wasn't important anymore. Higher levels of strength were his life's goal. "Thank you, brothering," Big Brother Feng said excitedly. "My real name is Lin Yi. When the small Qi gathering pill arrives, I will leave. You can contact me directly in the future," Lin Yi said. Lin Yi. "Ah, you are Lin Yi." Big Brother Feng was shocked and jumped up from his chair. His eyes widened and he couldn't speak. "What's wrong?" Lin Yi frowned. "No, I heard that the secular house you was destroyed because they offended you, and the second head of the Red Conch was also captured by you." Big Brother Feng also knew some secrets. "The most important thing is that one of the Fire Wolf gang's protectors was defeated by you." "Oh, you know quite a lot." "That's right, it's me," Lin Yi said. "Since you know all this and know the hatred between me, the Red Conch, and the Fire Wolf gang, you should know what to do in the future, right?" "I understand. I will try my best to raise my position in the Red Conch and help you break through the enemy lines." Big Brother Feng patted his chest and promised. Lin Yi nodded. He'd successfully subdued Doffing Bro, and he'd planted a nail in the Red Sea snail. Lin Yi also knew that he couldn't be in a hurry to find information about the pangolin. He had to do it step by step, especially since there was a Sky-class master in the Red Conch headquarters. Lin Yi had to be even more careful. Without a perfect plan, he couldn't act rashly. Although the third head of the Earth class was very weak and not even as strong as Tag On Long, his Sky-class master, Lin Yi couldn't underestimate him. 2 days later, Lin Yi received the small Qi-gathering pill sent by Han Xiaopa. Lin Yi once again found Big Brother Feng and gave him the pill. At this time, Big Brother Feng had received the confirmation from his backer. If he really had the small Qi-gathering pill and could successfully become an Earth-class master, then he could sit on the position of the head of the Red Conch branch. This news surprised and delighted Big Brother Feng, and the Qi-gathering pill Lin Yi gave him made him even happier. Big Brother Feng didn't expect to become an Earth-class master so smoothly. At this moment, with the small Qi-gathering pill in his hand, he already felt that he was about to break through. "Thank you, brothering." Big Brother Feng bowed deeply to Lin Yi. "In the future, I won't hesitate to sacrifice my life for you. It's fine if you sacrifice your life for me. Protect yourself and don't die. I'm still counting on you to find someone," said Lin Yi. "Yes, don't worry, brothering. I will hide my identity well," said Big Brother Feng quickly. "Don't reveal the photo I showed you before, but if there's a chance, help me find out if there's any news about this person in the poison refining base," said Lin Yi. "Okay." Big Brother Feng naturally carried out Lin Yi's orders firmly. "Okay, take care. I've given you the thing I should go to." Lin Yi patted Big Brother Feng's shoulder. Lin Yi was worried about the situation at home, so it wasn't appropriate for him to stay for long. After saying goodbye to Big Brother Feng, Lin Yi drove the Grand Cherokee and headed home with Sun Jingyi. The return journey was smooth, and Lin Yi smoothly returned to Donghai City. He first sent Sun Jingyi to the hotel before Lin Yi drove back to the villa in the Shueshang district. Lin Yi didn't bring Sun Jingyi home directly. He had to discuss it with Faubert and Grandma Sun first. This was a serious matter, and he couldn't make the decision alone. When Lin Yi returned to the villa, it was daytime. Meng Yao and the others were in school, and only Grandma Sun, Wu Qintian, Pai Jishan, and Elder Pai were at home. Pai Jihai had just been sent to Donghai City, but he didn't stay in the villa. Instead, he stayed at the Shueshang Business Hotel nearby. After all, Elder Pai couldn't let everyone in the family stay at Lin Yi's house. Chapter 23-24. At this time, who would be here? Could it be? Zhishan's blood boiled at the thought of this possibility. He had been waiting for Lin Yi's return, and now was Lin Yi really back? Lin Yi had promised to treat his grandpa and brother's wounds, but whether or not they could be healed was something Zhishan didn't know. Qintian looked calm, but he hadn't experienced it firsthand, and Zhishan was still worried. Now Lin Yi was back, and it was time to witness a miracle. Zhishan quickly opened the door and saw Lin Yi standing beside a Jeep Cherokee, ringing the doorbell. "Boss, you're back." Zhishan quickly walked out and opened the iron gate for Lin Yi. "Boss, rest first. I'll help you park the car in the yard." "All right, I'll leave it to you then," Lin Yi nodded. "How are your grandpa and Qintian?" "Their injuries are still the same. Boss, do you want to go check on them later?" Zhishan got out of the car and parked it in the yard. "Let's go now." Lin Yi was worried about Qintian and Elder Pai's injuries on the way back. These two were injured while trying to save Xinyan, and Lin Yi couldn't just leave them be. Putting aside the fact that they were saving Xinyan because of him, and even if it wasn't because of him, he couldn't just sit by and watch as her savior got hurt, considering how much she'd helped him. Okay, Zhishan was overjoyed. He thought that Lin Yi would rest for a bit after getting home, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to rush over to heal his grandpa and Qintian. After entering the villa, Grandma's son smiled and nodded to Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin, you're back. Do you need me to make you something to eat?" Lin Yi turned his head and looked at Grandma's son's smiling face. The more he looked, the more she looked like Sun Jingyi. He was even more sure of his guess. Before, Lin Yi thought that Grandma's son looked like Sun Jingyi, but he didn't think much about it. After all, Grandma's son was from House Sun, and so was Sun Jingyi. They were related, and it was normal for them to look similar. But now it was different. After guessing Sun Jingyi's identity, Lin Yi felt that Grandma's son looked familiar. "Grandma's son, just call me Lil Yi from now on. Don't call me Mr. Lin. I'm not used to it." After knowing Grandma's son's identity, Lin Yi didn't dare to let Grandma's son call him Mr. Lin anymore. If something happened between him and Sun Jingyi, then Grandma's son would be his mother-in-law. Lin Yi wasn't used to her being so polite. "Hee, how many times have you told me that? I can't change it." Grandma's son smiled. "It's just a title anyway." Lin Yi didn't have a choice. He didn't say much. "Grandma's son, call Faubert and ask him to come here as soon as possible. I have something important to tell him." "Oh, okay, I'll call him in a bit." Grandma's son saw how serious Lin Yi was and quickly nodded. Lin Yi, on the other hand, went with Pai Zhishan to the room where old Pai and Qintian were healing. The two of them lay in the same room every day, chatting. Both of them were physical practitioners, and old Pai was a sky class. Qintian had the attitude of learning, and old Pai had the attitude of getting to know him. One was willing to learn, and the other was willing to give pointers. They had a lot of fun talking every day. The two of them heard Lin Yi's voice, but they couldn't get up to greet him due to their injuries. Old Pai, on the other hand, was much better. He quickly sat up when he heard Lin Yi's voice. "Mr. Lin, you're back." Old Pai, just lie down. "We're family now, no need to be so polite." Lin Yi waved his hand. "I'll take a look at you first." "I'm not in a rush, it's Lil Wu. His injuries are more serious than mine. Can you take a look at him?" Old Pai waved his hand. He was a sky class, and his injuries weren't as serious as Qintian's. Naturally, he wouldn't let Lin Yi take a look first. Sure, Lin Yi didn't reject it. He could tell who was more heavily injured, Qintian or old Pai. Lin Yi put his hand on Qintian's meridians and started channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Qintian didn't resist, since he didn't need to do anything during the healing process. He just needed to quietly enjoy the feeling of being healed. This wasn't the first time Qintian let Lin Yi heal him, and he was familiar with it. He wasn't worried at all. Last time his injuries were worse than this, and he almost became a cripple, but he recovered just the same. Qintian didn't think it would be a problem for him to recover. This was the first time Jishan and old Pai saw Lin Yi heal someone. Lin Yi seemed to be doing it easily. He just put his hand on Qintian's meridians, and Qintian's complexion improved at a speed visible to the naked eye. Qintian had been lying on the bed for many days, but this kind of injury wasn't something that could be healed just by lying on the bed for a long time. Other than feeling a little better, his injuries didn't change at all. But now, Qintian's face had magically turned from pale to rosy. Soon, he looked no different from a normal person. This miraculous situation made Jishan and old Pai gasp in amazement. The two looked at each other and saw the shock and astonishment in each other's eyes. They thought that Lin Yi knew how to heal, but he only used some herbs and acupuncture to heal. Even if he could heal, there wouldn't be any results in a short period of time. But now, it seemed that this wasn't the case at all. Lin Yi had healed Qintian with ease. In fact, Lin Yi had healed Qintian for a long time, but in the eyes of Jishan and old Pai, it was extremely short. When Qintian jumped up from the bed and appeared in front of them, full of vigor, the two's knowledge of martial arts was completely overturned. "Boss, he's healed?" Jishan looked at Qintian in disbelief as he asked carefully. It seemed like nothing had happened. "All right, it's your grandpa's turn." "Where's your brother? You didn't bring him along?" Lin Yi asked. Chapter 23-25. And let them come. Elder Pai's injuries aren't as serious as Qintian's, so he'll be healed soon, Lin Yi said. "Okay, I'll call them now." Jishan was surprised and happy. Lin Yi, on the other hand, checked Elder Pai's pulse. This was the first time Elder Pai was being healed by Lin Yi, and he was a little nervous. He looked at Lin Yi and asked carefully, "Mr. Lin, do you need me to do anything? How can I help you?" "You don't need anything, just lie down." With that, he started using the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal Elder Pai. Old Man Pai obeyed and didn't do anything. After a while, he felt a warm current flowing into his body from his meridians. This warm current flowed along his meridians to his wounds and began to nourish them. Soon, Old Man Pai could even feel the injuries in his body miraculously healing. This situation shocked him. Was this the legendary true qi healing? Wasn't it said that only House Sun could do this? Why was Lin Yi able to do it as well? Besides, House Sun seemed to have a limit on the number of people they could heal. They could only heal one person, but Lin Yi could heal many people? Old Pai's mind was running wild, but he was shocked inwardly. The Hidden House Hans. It was no wonder they were under Lin Yi's command so early on. Hidden House Han wasn't stupid, either. If Lin Yi didn't have the strength and ability, would they be willing to be his follower? And now, Elder Pai felt that it was the right decision for House Pai to join Lin Yi. Practitioners like them couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't get injured, and with Lin Yi here, he was like a mobile sanatorium, able to heal wounds directly. This was a guarantee of life. Plus, this was just a small part of what Lin Yi had shown. Lin Yi probably had a lot more to offer. During the Hidden House meeting, Elder Pai felt that Lin Yi wasn't someone to be trifled with. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to win so many matches. Done. Just as Old Man Pai was letting his imagination run wild, Lin Yi's words brought him back to reality. But then he was stunned again. That's it. Qintian's injuries looked serious, but Elder Pai didn't know much about it and didn't check it himself. However, he was well aware of the severity of his injuries. To put it bluntly, if he didn't recover properly, he would be crippled. However, Lin Yi actually healed him in such a short period of time. Old Pai quickly checked his injuries, and it was just as Lin Yi said. His injuries were all healed, and there were no more wounds left. Really? Old Man Pai took a while to react, surprised and happy. "Elder Pai, I've already told you that Boss can heal us. You didn't believe me. Do you believe me now?" Qintian had gotten used to it by now, practicing some of the physical martial arts that Old Man Pai taught him. Yeah, only after experiencing it firsthand would I know how amazing Mr. Lin's medical skills are. Old Man Pai sighed. It seems like I'm still a little narrow-minded. As they were talking, Pai Jishan came back with Elder Wu Gongao behind him. Gongao was a little embarrassed when he saw Lin Yi. When Lin Yi was in dire straits and Chu Pingzhan got into the car accident, Gongao cut off his allowance and told him to stay away from Lin Yi. If it wasn't for Qin Tian's insistence, Gongao wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. House Wu and Lin Yi would have broken off already. This was similar to Elder Sun's situation. Sun Jingyi was in dire straits, and she had just sold her company with Qin Tian, and her bank account was frozen by her family, Mr. Lin. Gongao smiled sheepishly, not daring to look at Lin Yi in the eye. He went to the hotel to look after Pai Jihai, and Elder Pai taught his grandson martial arts every day. Gongao didn't have anything to do, so he volunteered to go to the hotel. Lin Yi nodded. He was Qin Tian's grandfather, after all, and Lin Yi couldn't say much about it. Qin Tian was very loyal to him, and Gongao was just trying to protect himself. Lin Yi didn't mind. Elder Wu, Qin Tian has recovered. Go talk to him first. I'll check on Jihai's injuries. All right, Gongao replied, a little embarrassed. He lowered his head and went to check on his grandson. Qin Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry at his grandpa's reaction, but he was still his grandpa, and it was best for him to face him in the family. Qin Tian couldn't just throw a tantrum. Grandpa, you saw it, right? I made the right choice. Don't be blinded by what looks like. Qin Tian, you were right, I'm getting old, and I can't see the problem anymore. Gongao sighed. I'll have to rely on you to take care of House Wu in the mundane world. I know that the position of the head of house won't be able to keep you. With the speed you're improving with Mr. Lin, you'll reach Sky Class sooner or later. I just hope that you'll be able to help Qin Tian when you're 100 years. That kid is a little smart and cunning, but I still need to help him become the head of the house. I understand, Grandpa. Don't worry, I'll take care of my brother. Qin Tian nodded. In truth, Qin Tian didn't care about the position of head of house Wu anymore. His status had already exceeded that of a mundane noble house. Lin Yi had already started treating Jihai's injuries. Jihai's injuries weren't really serious at all. It was just that the pure qi from the purple electric beast had been injected into his body. This qi was similar to the qi in Lin Yi's body, a type of pure qi from the heaven and earth. However, Jihai wasn't a spiritual practitioner and couldn't refine the qi in his body. Even spiritual practitioners had to absorb qi through their qi-hai acupoint, and this qi that was forcefully injected into his body couldn't be refined. Chapter 23-26. Lin Yi could inject his qi into someone's body, but he could only seal it with a silver needle. He couldn't do it with his hands. It seemed like he should let Skybolt Pig and the Wind Lightning Purple Electric Beast try it out. Let's see how this guy did it. If Lin Yi could learn it, he'd be invincible. He'd just have to inject some qi into his opponent and he'd be invincible. But Lin Yi was just thinking about it. Since ancient times, there were so many cultivators who had contracted spiritual beasts. Were they all idiots? Didn't they think of this? It seemed like it couldn't be done at all. Lin Yi shook his head and started to help Pai Jihai refine the purple electric beast qi. But only the purple electric beast's qi could be refined by Lin Yi so easily. If it was someone else's qi, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do it so easily. Lin Yi could directly absorb this qi for his own use, but others like the fire poison qi, Lin Yi couldn't. He could only use his qi to force it out of the body. That was more troublesome. It's done. Lin Yi healed Pai Jihai in a shorter time. It was only a few seconds, and he let go of Pai Jihai's pulse. Ah, it's done? Pai Jishan and Elder Pai's eyes widened. This was too fast, right? Although they had accepted the fact that Lin Yi healed them quickly, it was already fast enough before. Now it seemed even faster. Pai Zhihai's injury had been treated by the hidden house Pai, and even Zhao Yaowang couldn't do anything. How could Lin Yi do it in a few seconds? Lin Yi nodded. It's nothing to begin with, just that the purple lightning beast injected some pure energy into it. Pai Zhishan and Elder Pai were speechless. This was nothing. Then what did it mean? After all, this was a situation where many people were powerless. However, Pai Zhihai's next moan let them know that Pai Zhihai was completely healed. Pai Zhihai climbed up from the stretcher with a confused face. He rubbed his eyes and said, "Where am I? The competition is over? Linny, why are you here?" Pai Zhihai didn't know what had happened after the Hidden House summit ended. He had just woken up and saw that Lin Yi, his enemy, was also there, so he was naturally wary and hostile. "Zhihai, don't be rude." Elder Pai was shocked by Zhihai's words. "This Mr. Lin is your savior. Without him, you'd be dead already. He's also someone that our house Pai has to respect and obey." "Yeah, Zhihai, I've already acknowledged Lin Yi as my boss. You're my brother, you should call him boss too." Pai Zhishan added. "Ah." Pai Zhihai was shocked. How come his big brother and grandpa treated Lin Yi so differently after he woke up? Wait, did they just say that Lin Yi was their savior? Pai Zhihai thought back to what had happened. During the spirit beast competition, the purple lightning beast injected a strand of qi into his body, and then he fainted. Could it be that Lin Yi helped him? Pai Zhihai was obsessed with martial arts and didn't talk much, but that didn't mean he was stupid. From the current situation, it seemed like it was the case. Pai Zhihai was still puzzled. Grandpa and Big Brother really let bygones be bygones? But their expressions didn't seem to be fake. Pai Zhihai was a sensible person, so he quickly bowed to Lin Yi and said, "Thank you, Mr. Lin, for saving my life. Call him boss." Pai Zhishan slapped Pai Zhihai and said, although Pai Zhishan's martial arts wasn't as strong as Pai Zhihai's, the two brothers were very close. They didn't fight against each other. They had been like this since they were young. Haha, no rush. Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating that Zhishan didn't need to force it. He just woke up. Let him rest for a bit. "Okay, thank you, boss," Pai Zhishan quickly said. "Right, Elder Pai, Wu Qintian is an earth class, but he doesn't have a suitable technique." Lin Yi turned to Elder Pai. "Wu Qintian belongs to House Wu, but he practices the external iron fist arts, similar to your hidden house Pai's arts. Can you help him find a technique?" Normally, common houses didn't have any earth class masters, so there wouldn't be any earth class techniques. Even the strongest common house Yu Huaxing, didn't have a technique, so he went to the hidden house Yu to practice. But when Lin Yi met him, the hidden house Yu didn't give him a technique yet. "Oh, that's easy. We're on the same side now, and I don't need to hide anything. Our hidden house Pai's technique is called Heaven and Earth Fist, and it's perfect for Wu Qintian. He'll be able to learn it right away." Elder Pai said happily after hearing Lin Yi's words. Of course, Wu Qintian is a master of both internal and external martial arts. If he can use Heaven and Earth Fist, it'll be much stronger than normal physical practitioners like us. Qintian was a little excited after hearing Old Pai's words. During this period of time, he had contact with Old Pai, and he had learned a little about the ancient backing of House Pai. It was the famous Holy Fist Palace, and the Heaven and Earth Heavenly Fist was the Holy Fist Palace's special technique. Old Pai had only mastered the first 15 styles of Heaven and Earth Heavenly Fist, but for Qintian it was enough. Elder Pai used this technique to defeat the kidnappers, and Qintian was very envious. He didn't think that he would be able to learn it. Of course, Qintian knew that this was because after he healed Old Pai and Zhihai, Old Pai truly saw him as one of his own, a comrade in the trenches. Old Pai did give him some pointers, but he didn't mention anything about Heaven and Earth Fist techniques. "Thank you, Elder Pai. I'll work hard, and unless Elder Pai asks me to teach it to others, I won't teach it to anyone. Chin Tian quickly cupped his fist. Zhihai was shocked. He didn't think that his grandpa would teach Chin Tian the heaven and earth fist. It seemed like his grandpa was really loyal to Lin Yi. Chapter 23-27. Could it be that it wasn't a coincidence that House Han was willing to become Lin Yi's vassal? Even his grandpa decided. With that in mind, Zhihai wasn't conflicted anymore. His grandpa's decision was the same as House Pai's decision. Grandpa had always been a cautious person, and this decision was enough to show how bright the future would be if he followed Lin Yi. Old Pai didn't play around, either. He got a pen and paper and wrote down his practitioner's arts for Chin Tian, not hiding a single move. He wrote down the first 15 moves and gave it to Chin Tian. You should have some understanding of the activation technique in these few days. Go practice in the yard later. If you don't understand anything, ask me. But I'm guessing that you'll be even stronger than Zhihai. After all, you're a spiritual practitioner. Yes. Chin Tian accepted the practitioner's arts with joy and respect. Right, Old Pai? Things like spirit gathering pills and small chi gathering pills should be something your hidden house Pai can't get, right? Lin Yi suddenly thought of this problem after listening to Old Pai's words. These kinds of pills weren't that rare in the hidden houses, unlike the common houses. You people practice spiritual arts. Can't you just use pills to level up? That Old Pai smiled bitterly. It's not hard to get. In fact, we have a lot of them in stock. If anyone from House Pai shows a bit of talent in spiritual arts and can practice qi into their body, we'll do our best to help them reach Earth class. Oh, what do you mean? You can't practice? Lin Yi asked curiously. It's very rare for a person who cultivates external techniques to be able to cultivate internal techniques. Although they have the internal techniques in their hands, they are basically useless. They can't refine qi into their bodies, and they can't even cultivate internal techniques. How can they eat dawn? They're just wasting it. Old Pai smiled bitterly. Physical practitioners are rare in the first place, and our House Pai doesn't have a genius like Chin Tian, so none of us succeeded. I'm a genius? Chin Tian's eyes went wide. He'd never thought of himself as a genius. Without Lin Yi, he wouldn't be a genius at all. He was still a golden class, early phase physical practitioner. However, Chin Tian didn't dare say anything. After all, increasing someone's strength and healing were two different things. He didn't know if Lin Yi would let him say anything, so he looked at Lin Yi. Wu Chin Tian, you were in the same situation before. You can't practice internal martial arts? Lin Yi asked after some thought. He didn't know this much when he leveled up Chin Tian. I couldn't do it before. My grandpa couldn't either. Chin Tian smiled bitterly. Usually it's rare to hear that a physical practitioner can become a spiritual practitioner. Then what about spiritual first, then physical? Lin Yi didn't know there was such a saying. It's rare for them to be able to practice physical arts after cultivating spiritual arts. Old Pai smiled bitterly. Only a small number of geniuses can practice physical arts after cultivating spiritual arts first. But for these geniuses, it's the same for them. I don't know much about external martial arts, so that's how it is. Lin Yi understood. Yes, except for spiritual practitioners who don't have any achievements and want to switch to external martial arts. They usually destroy their meridians and start from scratch. Chin Tian suddenly thought of an example. Right, it's like Faubert. Lin Yi paused. Faubert wasn't without destruction. It was because he had no other choice but to learn internal martial arts. But the principle was the same. Wait, Wu Chin Tian, you said you couldn't do it before? You couldn't do physical martial arts before, but now you can? Old Pai noticed a detail in Chin Tian's words and quickly asked. Chin Tian looked at Lin Yi. Yeah, I leveled him up. Lin Yi nodded. Uft. Cough, cough, cough. Old Pi heard Lin Yi's words and started coughing. Mr. Lin, what did you say? Even Pai Zhihai, who hadn't said a word, was shocked by Lin Yi's words, his eyes wide open as he looked over in disbelief. Wu Qintian's spiritual strength was boosted by me, Lin Yi said, but my current limit is mystic late phase peak. After that, you guys will have to rely on the small qi gathering pills to level up. Boss, please help me level up. I don't need to be mystic late phase peak, just golden class early phase. I'll eat some spirit gathering pills, and small qi gathering pills, and I'll be able to level up. Zhihai jumped in front of Lin Yi and bowed deeply. Zhihai was a martial arts fanatic, and nothing was more important to him than the pursuit of martial arts. Both internal and external martial arts had always been his dream. So when Zhihai heard that Lin Yi could level up, and with Qintian as an example, he willingly accepted Lin Yi as his boss. If Lin Yi could help him level up and fulfill his dream, naturally, he wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity. Huh. Lin Yi smiled. This Zhihai really was a martial arts fanatic. He wasn't even this excited when Lin Yi saved his life, but this excited when he heard that he could level up. With that thought, Lin Yi couldn't help but shake his head. What's the point of eating so many pills? Isn't that a waste? If you have any extra, give me a few. Haha. Zhihai scratched his head. If I can really level up to mystic late phase peak, then I'll only need one small qi gathering pill to break through to Earth class. The rest are all yours, boss. You brat, don't you think about me and your grandpa? Zhishan smiled bitterly. At least leave one for each of us. Zhishan, don't talk nonsense. Don't be too greedy. Old Pai frowned and kicked Zhishan. Did he think that his family was a great hero? He'd only helped Lin Yi save Wang Xinyan once, and Lin Yi had already returned the favor by healing Pai Zhihai's wounds. If he could level Pai Zhihai up, that would be a huge gift. Pai Zhishan, on the other hand, was asking for a mile? Did he want his whole family to be a dual practitioner? How was that possible? Even the Holy Fist Palace didn't have such a large internal and external martial artist team. Chapter 23-28. Wu Qintian had been with Lin Yi for a long time, and even if he didn't contribute much, he'd still put in a lot of effort. Wu Gonggao was still a mystic early phase physical practitioner, and Lin Yi didn't even help him level up. How could the Hidden House Pai do that? I'm sorry, boss. I was a little too impatient and greedy. Zhishan quickly apologized. It's normal for practitioners to pursue higher realms. How many pills do you have? Lin Yi asked. About a dozen of them. Zhishan wasn't sure. These pills were precious, but the Pai people couldn't eat them, so he didn't pay much attention. He turned to Elder Pai. 15 in total, Elder Pai said. Old Pai said, in fact, there are more opportunities to collect more small qi gathering pills, but I didn't do it because it's useless to collect them. It's better to collect something else. All right, you, Zhishan, Zhihai, and Gonggao each get one, so that's 4. I'll take 5 of the remaining 11, Lin Yi said after some thought. He didn't expect the Hidden House Pai to be so rich, to have so many small qi gathering pills. Ah. Old Pai was dumbfounded. It wasn't that Lin Yi was asking for a qi gathering pellet, but that Lin Yi was saying that he was going to level up his whole family. This was something that Elder Pai couldn't accept. Wasn't this happiness a little too fast? Even if Lin Yi asked for all of them and asked him to collect them, Elder Pai would have been more than willing. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, even 100 of them wouldn't be enough to help his family become an Earth-class, early-phase spiritual practitioner, let alone 15. Mr. Lin, this seems like a loss, right? Elder Pai asked carefully. Loss? Lin Yi was surprised. He thought that Old Pai was saying that it was a loss for him to pay 5 small qi gathering pills, but it didn't look like that. Lin Yi immediately understood what he was thinking. He smiled and said, I see you as one of my own. In the future, when I go out, I'll need you to protect the people around me. So if you don't improve your strength, I won't be at ease. Then it would be impolite of us to refuse. Old Pi said excitedly. How long will it take to level up? Mr. Lin, why don't you level up Jihai first, and I'll go back and get the lesser chi gathering pills. Have someone send it over. You'll be gone for too long. Lin, he said, if everything goes as expected, the four of you will all be mystic late phase peak by tomorrow morning. By tomorrow morning? Old Pi, Pai Jishan, and Pai Jihai were all shocked. If Lin Yi said that he could raise someone to mystic late phase peak by tomorrow morning, they would be shocked, but Lin Yi said that it was 4 people. This made them freeze. If there are no accidents, it'll be fine by tomorrow morning. Qin Tian had experienced the feeling of his strength increasing firsthand. This, Mr. Lin, you've really shocked me. Old Pi smiled bitterly and shook his head. It seems like what we know about you is just the tip of the iceberg. I understand now. No wonder Han Xiaopa of the Hidden House didn't level up before, but suddenly increased his strength right before the Hidden House summit. It seems like it's all thanks to you, Mr. Lin. I wouldn't dare take credit for it, but it was me. Lin, he didn't deny it and nodded. It seems like this Pai Jishan making you his boss was the best decision he's ever made in his life. Old Pai sighed and looked at Qin Tian with envy. This guy was just a disciple of a common noble house, but he was doing so well with Lin Yi. Even in terms of seniority, Jishan had to call him Tian Bro. After all, he was Lin Yi's follower. Haha, that's right, I have foresight, Jishan said proudly. Those chi gathering pills, we'll take all 15 of them. We don't have much use for the rest. Mr. Lin can decide how to use them, Old Pai said. If you need more, I'll get someone to collect more. It's fine, this is enough. Lin, he wanted to give one back to Han Xiaopa, Lingshan, Yu Tian, Chikuin, and Faubert, making it 5, but he didn't expect Old Pai to give him so many. Haha, we don't have any use for it. Old Pai waved his hand. Plus, we've already taken advantage of you. If we do as you say, Mr. Lin, we'll be on the same side from now on. These things will all belong to you. All right then. Lin, he didn't push it if he had more. He could give some to Tianlong and the others. After all, Tianlong was too weak to fight against the Red Conch. He was Xiao Xiao's father. If anything happened to him, Lin he wouldn't be able to answer to Xiao Xiao. But House Wu doesn't have anything special. The one who felt the most guilty was Gong Gao, Qin Tian's grandpa. He felt like he'd let Lin Yi down. When Lin Yi was in trouble, Gong Gao didn't give him a single cent and even froze Qin Tian's allowance. It made him feel very guilty. Don't say that. You have a good grandson, and that's enough. Lin Yi said faintly. He didn't give Gong Gao any face, but it was the truth. Gong Gao blushed, feeling a little ashamed. He looked at Qin Tian awkwardly and smiled. Thank you, boss. Qin Tian said seriously. Old Pai sent his family to get the small chi gathering pills, and Lin he started leveling them up one by one, starting from Jihai. He had nothing to do while waiting for the Miss and Shu to finish school, and it wasn't even noon yet. It was enough for the two to step into mystic late phase peak from now until they finished school. Out of all of them, Jihai was the most impatient. They didn't fight with him, and Lin naturally helped him level up first. You don't need to do anything later. Just circulate your house's practitioner's arts. I'll transfer the chi you need from your meridians. Lin, he said to Jihai. Chapter 23-29. The two of them started, and soon Pai Jihai broke through to the early stage of golden class from a person without any internal strength. Pai Jihai's face was suddenly full of shock. Wasn't this too fast? It was not that he had not studied internal cultivation before. On the contrary, Pai Jihai would study and experiment when he was free, but there was no progress every time. As a martial arts addict, he naturally wanted to become a master of both internal and external cultivation. Therefore, this kind of qi sense that he wanted to refine qi into his body so many times actually appeared. And he quickly reached the early stage of golden class, which made him feel like he was dreaming. Although at the moment when he was promoted to the early stage of golden class, there was a trace of pain in his body caused by the bottleneck, but then it was quickly overwhelmed by the excitement of this upgrade. Of course, at this moment, Pai Zhihai was not the only one who was shocked and excited. Pai Zhishan, Old Master Pai, and even Wu Gonggao, who already knew that Wu Qintian was promoted to a master by Lin Yi, were all shocked at this moment. It was self-evident what this meant for the masters of external cultivation. This kind of opportunity, even for the masters of the Holy Fist Palace, was hard to come by. The few of them looked at each other and decided to keep this a secret. This was not only to protect Lin Yi, but also to save himself trouble. Even if Old Master Pai's backer was the Holy Fist Palace, he would not talk about it. After all, many of the geniuses of the Holy Fist Palace, as long as they could cultivate qi sense, they would train this person to be a master of both internal and external cultivation at all costs. However, Pai Zhihai's strength was still rapidly increasing, and soon he broke through to the middle stage of golden class, followed by the late stage of golden class. This kind of speed, even if it was taking elixirs, no one had ever heard of it. Even if he took elixirs, he still needed time to refine them, right? But Lin Yi simply skipped the time to refine the elixirs and directly upgraded Pai Zhihai at the speed of a rocket. Old Master Pai looked at Pai Zhishan more and more kindly. He was very happy that Pai Zhishan could get to know Lin Yi and become Lin Yi's follower. It was really a blessing for House Pai. At 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Pai Zhihai successfully became a master of the peak late stage of mystic class and had qi in his body. Pai Zhihai couldn't believe it. But what surprised Lin Yi was that when Lin Yi continued to upgrade Pai Zhishan, Pai Zhihai actually did not take a small qi gathering pill and broke through to the early stage of earth class. This reminded Lin Yi of Qintian's situation. Qintian started from the inside to the outside, leveling up his spiritual style first, then his external style. But Pai Zhihai's external style was already at earth class early phase peak, and according to this principle, it made sense that Pai Zhihai would be able to break through to earth class early phase spiritual style by himself. But Zhihai's speed was a bit too fast. Lin Yi had just finished upgrading him, and he broke through on his own. Of course, this was also because Lin Yi didn't need to use any stamina to level him up, and after leveling up, he had enough stamina to break through to the early stage of earth class. This situation shocked Lin Yi. Qintian's situation was that he leveled up his physical strength first, but Pai Zhihai leveled up his spiritual strength on his own. There was a problem here, and that was that the side effects of Lin Yi's leveling up of others didn't appear on Zhihai. After Lin Yi helped others level up, because of the purity of the qi in the air, he couldn't level up on his own. He could only take elixirs or go to places with more qi. But Zhihai broke through on his own. Could it be that this situation didn't apply to masters of both spiritual and spiritual strength? Or was it because Zhihai's physical strength had already broken through the barrier of the previous level, and that was why his spiritual strength could continue to level up? Of course, once Zhihai's spiritual strength reached the peak early stage of earth class, he'd be able to see if there really was no limit. If Zhihai could still continue training then it would prove that the side effect of Lin Yi's leveling up of others didn't apply to masters of both spiritual and spiritual strength. If Zhihai couldn't continue training and could only focus on physical strength, then the side effect still existed. It was just that masters of both spiritual and spiritual strength were special, and this side effect was set at the highest point of their body. But even if there was a side effect, as long as the physical strength could continue to level up, then the spiritual strength would continue to increase as well. However, this was still a great advantage compared to normal inner sect experts. Can you still break through? Lin Yi looked at Jihai and asked, I can't. I just charged up and broke through naturally. But if I break through again, I won't be able to. Jihai smiled bitterly. Boss, the spiritual strength you gave me was at the peak, late-stage peak of mystic class. I was just one step away from leveling up, and that's why I broke through. But now, I haven't even stabilized my Earth class, early stage, spiritual strength yet. How can I break through? Lin Yi nodded, but this made things a lot more normal. Otherwise, Lin Yi would have thought that Jihai was a martial arts maniac. But even so, Jihai was still much stronger than the others. Jishan hadn't finished leveling up yet, and when Meng Yao and the others were about to leave school, Lin Yi had just leveled him up to the peak early stage of mystic class. But Lin Yi wasn't in a rush, so he decided to stop and continue at night. Lin Yi's way of leveling up didn't need to be done in one go. As long as one's strength was lower than Lin Yi's, one could level up at any time. There was no time limit, and so Lin Yi paused. I'll go pick up the miss from school first. I'll continue at night. Okay. Pai Jishan nodded happily. Jihai and Qintian, on the other hand, volunteered. Boss, we'll go with you? It's fine. The car can't fit that many people. If there's any danger, I can handle it myself. You guys rest first. Lin Yi didn't need them at all. If he met an opponent, as long as it wasn't a sky class, Lin Yi was confident that he could hold his own. If it was a coward like the third head of the house, it wouldn't be strange if he killed him. Since Lin Yi said so, they didn't force it. Lin Yi drove his jeep to the parking lot of Donghai Engineering University and waited. Chapter 2330. Pai Jishan had been picking them up from the parking lot for the past few days, and he'd come early every day without fail. Today, Pai Jishan didn't show up, and Meng Yao was a little surprised. She was wondering if she should give him a call when she saw Yushu running towards a black Jeep. Meng Yao's heart tightened when she saw the familiar plate number on the Jeep. Was he back? She shook her head with a bitter smile, thinking that Shu had really sharp eyes. She'd spotted Lin Yi's car right away, and she was still looking for Pai Jishan's BMW X5M. Shield bro, you're back. I've missed you for Yao Yao. Yushu opened the door to the front passenger seat and got in. She then turned to Meng Yao. Yao Yao, do you want me to give you the front passenger seat? You sit. Meng Yao was too embarrassed to sit in front. She shook her head and walked over, smiling at Lin Yi. You're back? Yeah, I'm back. Lin Yi smiled as well. He didn't know why, but Lin Yi felt that there was an indescribable connection between him and the Mississippi. One look, one smile, and they understood each other's concern and longing for each other. Wow, Yao Yao, you and Shield Bro seem to have a dick. Since when did you two become so in sync? Yushu said with an evil smile as she looked at Meng Yao and Lin Yi. Meng Yao's face reddened as she glared at Yushu. It's usually the thief calling the thief. Yeah, someone said it's the thief calling the thief. Yushu said, Can't you be a little more stupid at times like this? Meng Yao was speechless. Shu's never been stupid. Yushu said, All right, you guys get in. Lin Yi felt a very familiar and warm feeling as he looked at the two arguing. It was as if this was the kind of life he'd wanted. For the sake of Lin Yi, I won't argue with you. Missy got into the back of the car. See, I told you there's a JQ, right? Why else would you give Shield Bro face instead of Shu, your sister of 10 years? Yushu said with a look of understanding. You. The miss felt a sense of defeat. Arguing with Yushu was just asking for trouble. These days, it's all thanks to you guys. A lot of things have happened at home. Thank you. Lin Yi smiled and interrupted their quarrel. You have to thank Sister Yao Yao. She was the one who helped us. Yushu said, She's always telling old Pai and Pai Jishan not to worry, saying that you're coming back soon. But Shu always knew that Shield Bro never called. Meng Yao's face reddened even more. She didn't expect Shu to find out so early, but judging from how Shu found out when she was on the phone with Lin Yi, Shu really did have the potential to be a spy. Nothing could escape her eyes and ears. It's my fault. Thank you. Lin Yi didn't expect Meng Yao to be so troubled at home, but it made sense. Old Pai and Pai Jishan didn't know what he was capable of, so it was normal for them to be worried. Only Qintian knew that his injuries could be healed, but old Pai wouldn't believe him 100%. It's nothing. Meng Yao looked at Han Xiaoqiao, who wasn't far away. Han Jingjing is coming. Let's not talk about this. Meng Yao rarely told Han Jingjing about these things. Although Lin Yi seemed to trust Han Jingjing a lot, Meng Yao still felt that there was something wrong with Han Jingjing. She couldn't tell if it was evil, but she just felt that Han Jingjing was a bit weird. Han Jingjing didn't see her BMW X5M when she arrived at the parking lot, but saw her brother standing beside a Jeep. She paused, realizing that it was Lin Yi. She ran over excitedly and got in the car, sitting in the middle of the second row. Lin Yi, bro, you're back. Yeah, I just got back today. How is it? Any progress on the pill refining side? Lin Yi asked. Sigh, speaking of this, Jingjing has a slight headache. Is Jingjing an idiot? Every day, I can only refine a second-grade elixir. After that, I'll feel weak and exhausted. I have to rest for a night before I can continue refining elixirs. Han Jingjing put on a long face and said with some annoyance, even if Jingjing wanted to use scientific alchemy to refine a few more batches of pills at once, I couldn't succeed because refining more batches of pills requires more physical strength. Jingjing couldn't hold on and wasted 2 batches of materials. That's fine. So if I make one a day, can I guarantee 100% success rate? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, if I don't succeed, then I'd be an idiot. Han Jingjing nodded. That's already very impressive. Even if a normal Tier 2 alchemist is prepared to refine a Tier 2 elixir pill, it's still impossible for them to succeed 100% of the time. Lin Yi was disappointed, but Han Jingjing's success rate was close to 100%. What was there to be dissatisfied about? Is that so? Then it seems that Jingjing can do it. It's just that she doesn't have enough stamina. Han Jingjing sighed. If she had enough stamina, she could use scientific methods to make multiple pills at once. Oh! Lin Yi suddenly thought of a way to solve Han Jingjing's problem. What if he and Han Jingjing worked together and Han Jingjing was making pills while he was behind her, supplying and replenishing her qi? Wouldn't that solve the problem? Lin Yi, bro, do you have a way? Han Jingjing saw Lin Yi's thoughtful expression and asked quickly. Yeah, I have a way. I'll ask you to test it tonight. Lin Yi said. Yeah. Han Jingjing nodded happily. Lin Yi, bro, is better than Jingjing. You thought of a solution as soon as you came back. You're amazing. Yushu, on the other hand, curled her lips. This Han Jingjing was too good at acting cute. She didn't even blush when she said those words. Even if she liked Shield Bro, she wouldn't flatter him like this. Han Jingjing sat beside Meng Yao, and Han Xiaoqiao sat beside Han Jingjing. Lin Yi started the car and drove out of the school towards the direction of Shueshang district. Chapter 2331. Yao Yao, this Han Jingjing. How should I put it? Do you think she's really dumb? Or is she just acting dumb? Yushu whispered after entering the villa. Even you can't tell? Meng Yao looked at Yushu. Aren't you all-powerful, Shu? I think she's all-powerful, Jingjing. She's able to come up with all sorts of weird techniques, like scientific pill-making. She really isn't a normal person. Yushu said, That's right. Who cares? She seems to be very helpful to Lin Yi. Whether she's dumb or just acting dumb like you, it doesn't matter. Meng Yao shrugged. I'm not acting dumb. I'm not dumb in the first place. Yushu said, That Han Jingjing isn't dumb in the first place. Meng Yao said, All right. Yushu's question was a waste of time. Xintian, Gonggao, Zhishan, Zhihai, and Elder Pai all came out to welcome Mengyao and Yushu. They weren't in a rush when they heard that Lin Yi had gone next door. With the leveling speed Lin Yi gave them, there was no need to rush at all. Even if they couldn't level up by tomorrow morning, they could still do it tomorrow. As for why Lin Yi went next door, Mengyao didn't tell them. She didn't tell anyone that Han Jingjing knew how to concoct elixirs. They were Lin Yi's followers, but it was better if fewer people knew about it. Lin Yi would have said it himself, and Mengyao, naturally, wouldn't have said anything. Han Xiaoqiao went upstairs to study after the group entered the villa. The guy was a complete bookworm, and he didn't care about what Han Jingjing was doing at all. He didn't even ask about it. Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, and Han Xiaoqiao went upstairs to study. What pill did you waste, and what did you succeed? Lin Yi asked. 4 sets of materials for the minor reversion pill were wasted, but 1 was successfully refined. As for the meridian opening pill, 2 sets of materials were successfully refined. You haven't used the materials for the small qi gathering pill yet? Lin Yi asked. No, Han Jingjing said. I haven't had the time to do it yet. That's good. Lin Yi nodded. The circulation pill and meridian unblocking pill didn't have much use for Lin Yi. Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery could achieve the effects of these 2 pills, and Lin Yi could achieve the effects that they couldn't. So their usefulness was a little accumulated, but the lesser pills were different. Lin Yi had a lot of people around him, and while the Hidden House Pai had 11 of them, if Han Jingjing could make all 5 of them, Lin Yi could create more Earth-class masters. By the way, Big Brother Lin Yi, what did you think of before? Han Jingjing asked. Now, simulate the process of refining 2 pills, and then I will help you infuse true qi. See if it works. Lin Yi didn't dare let Han Jingjing directly use the materials. Lin Yi was afraid that this method wouldn't work, and the materials would be wasted. He still had 3 portions of the meridian opening pill, but if they were wasted, then he could only use the materials for the lesser qi gathering pill. That would be a waste. Okay, but if you simulate it, you won't be able to see the actual effects. It won't be of much use. It'll just waste your energy, Han Jingjing said. That's fine. I just want to see if my true qi can be used by you. Lin Yi said, if my true qi can be used by you, then you can use the actual materials to test it. Okay, Jingjing, shall we start now? Han Jingjing picked up the 2nd level cauldron and asked Lin Yi. Yes, let's start. Lin Yi nodded. His hands clasped Han Jingjing's wrist where the meridians were, and Han Jingjing began to condense the alchemy fire, preparing to simulate alchemy. Soon, Han Jingjing's alchemy fire was condensed, and then she began to simulate alchemy. Lin Yi began to circulate the 2nd level of the art of dragon mastery, preparing to replenish the true qi in Han Jingjing's body. But soon, Lin Yi discovered a problem. That was, Han Jingjing's body didn't absorb his true qi at all. The 2nd level of the art of dragon mastery only circulated in Lin Yi's body, and the true qi was also limited to circulating in Lin Yi's body. It didn't enter Han Jingjing's body at all. Big Brother Lin Yi, there's no true qi? Han Jingjing also felt this. Her alchemy was completely according to the formula and timetable made on the tablet. She didn't use her own attribute to sense the changes in the medicinal herbs in the cauldron, so she could be distracted and talk. Yes, there's really no. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. When you're refining, can you circulate the mantra of the alchemist's cultivation at the same time? This can't be. Han Jingjing shook her head. Jingjing can only circulate the mantra of condensing the alchemy fire. I can't circulate the mantra of the cultivation at the same time. Then it probably won't work. Lin Yi let go of Han Jingjing's hands and sighed with some depression. Only when you circulate the mantra of the cultivation, I can input true qi into you. When you circulate other mantras, my true qi won't be automatically absorbed by you. It seems that my idea can't be realized. Previously, Lin Yi was still happy for his sudden idea, but now that he had tried it, he found that it didn't work, which made Lin Yi very disappointed. Then, do I still need to simulate it? Han Jingjing asked. I'll try to input it directly from your Qihai acupoint, but I may have to touch your abdomen. Lin Yi hesitated and said, Okay. Han Jingjing nodded. That you are a girl. It's okay if I touch you like this, right? Lin Yi saw that Han Jingjing didn't seem to understand that men and women shouldn't touch each other, so he added a sentence. Of course it's okay. It's okay for big brother Lin Yi to touch, but others can't. Han Jingjing said naturally. You. Lin Yi really couldn't understand why Han Jingjing, who suddenly appeared and became his neighbor, would be so close to him. It seems that what I said is right. She still admires me. It's a bit weird. However, Lin Yi could also feel from Han Jingjing's eyes that she didn't have any malice toward him, and she really didn't have any cultivation strength. She didn't seem like an enemy spy. Chapter 2332. So, if she really was sent by his opponent, then he had to thank his opponent. Thank him so much. He knew he didn't know how to concoct elixirs, so he sent him a mobile cauldron. Lin Yi saw that Han Jingjing's expression was not strange, so he simply did not pretend. He directly pressed his hand on Han Jingjing's Qihai acupoint and continued to run the second layer of the art of dragon mastery. However, the result this time still disappointed Lin Yi. Han Jingjing still couldn't absorb Lin Yi's true qi. In other words, Lin Yi's assumption was a complete failure. What's wrong, brother Lin Yi? Did you fail again? Han Jingjing saw Lin Yi's disappointed look and asked quickly, And it failed again. Lin Yi nodded. It seems that this assumption is not good. I can only give up. It doesn't matter. Brother Lin Yi is thinking of a way for Jingjing. Jingjing is already very grateful. If it doesn't work this time, there will be a next time. Jingjing's alchemy can't be successful in one try. Han Jingjing was not disappointed to Lin Yi. It seems that it is impossible for me to use my true qi to assist you in alchemy. Lin Yi shook his head and said, You can only find ways to improve your strength as soon as possible. You are now an Earth Stage Master. I guess the Earth Stage is also the limit of a second-grade alchemist. Even if you can condense a third-grade alchemy fire, you can't refine a third-grade alchemy pill. Brother Lin Yi, you don't have to worry too much. You want to sacrifice yourself to help Jingjing alchemy. Jingjing is already very grateful. Han Jingjing comforted. Sacrifice myself? After listening to Han Jingjing's words, Lin Yi suddenly had a flash of inspiration in his mind. He seemed to think of something. Yes, sacrifice yourself. Lin Yi was very familiar with this sentence. He seemed to have heard it once, and it seemed to be very important. Yes, Lin Yi suddenly remembered what he thought of. That was when he was hiding in the Han family's scripture pavilion. Lin Yi saw an ancient supplementary martial art. According to old Han's introduction, that martial art could replenish energy and true qi for the people around him, but at the cost of one's own strength and true qi. It was a martial art that sacrificed oneself to help others. At that time, Lin Yi felt that this martial art should be of some use. Moreover, using it on Lin Yi's own body, the side effects weren't that big. This was because whether Lin Yi used up his true qi or dropped a level, he could use the Jade Space's energy to replenish and recover in the shortest amount of time. This was completely different from others. He had a unique advantage. However, Lin Yi's mind was on the Hidden Family Summit. Although he had copied this martial art, he didn't think too much about it. Later, because he accompanied Sun Jingyi to the Wulong Haut Mountains, he didn't have time to study it. Now that he thought about it, this martial art was simply tailor-made for him and Han Jingjing. After he cultivated this martial art, he could use it to restore his own strength and true qi. However, he didn't know under what state would his own people be able to accept this martial art. Did he have to circulate the mantra he had learned during cultivation, or could he accept it in his normal state or in a battle state? Would they be able to accept it actively or passively? Thinking about this, Lin Yi didn't want to stay a moment longer. He wanted to go back and take a closer look at the martial art that was copied in the hidden Han family and see if Han Jingjing could use it. Jingjing, you really are my little lucky star. You really woke me up with a single sentence and reminded me. Lin Yi was so happy that he almost hugged Han Jingjing and kissed her. He stretched out his hand and put it down resentfully. I have a martial art that can probably solve this situation. I have to go back and study it. Don't refine pills for these 2 days. Wait for me to study it first before continuing. Okay, but Jingjing didn't do anything. It was all Lin Yi Gij's ideas. Han Jingjing never took credit for herself. Hee, Jingjing, you really helped me a lot. Lin Yi smiled. I was so excited just now that I almost hugged you and kissed you. Really? Did Jingjing help? Han Jingjing didn't say anything on the surface, but there was a faint but imperceptible disappointment in her eyes. Okay, I'll go back first. You should rest early too. Lin Yi said to Han Jingjing. His mind was focused on going back and looking at the martial art, so he didn't see the abnormality in Han Jingjing's eyes. Then Jingjing will sleep for a few days. I haven't slept in for a long time. Jingjing, go to bed early today. Han Jingjing said she was sleepy and said with a yawn. It seemed that recently she was really tired. Every day, she studied and refined second-grade medicinal pills. She had exhausted her energy to the limit. Have a good rest. Lin Yi nodded and said goodbye to Han Jingjing. He quickly returned to his villa. Until he left Han Jingjing's villa, Lin Yi was still a little confused. This Han Jingjing, the timing of her appearance and the help she gave him were too strange. He hoped it was really not a bad thing. After all, humans weren't plants. How could they be emotionless? Lin Yi had been interacting with Han Jingjing for a while now, and he was starting to like this girl who was terrifyingly smart and heartless. When Lin Yi returned to the villa, Wu Qintian, Wu Gonggao, Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, and Elder Pai were all chatting in the living room. The Miss and Shu weren't there. Mr. Lin, boss, you're back. When they saw Lin Yi, they all stood up to talk to Lin Yi. Even the Sky Class Elder, Pai didn't hold back in front of Lin Yi. He didn't act like a junior, but the head of a vassal house of Lin Yi. You don't have to be so polite in the future. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Wu Qintian, you weren't like this before. Why are you playing these games now that there are so many people? Didn't I think it would be more formal when there are more people? Qintian scratched his head and turned to Elder Pai. Elder Pai, boss is a nice guy, no need to be so courteous. What he cares about is whether or not we're doing things for him, sincerely, not etiquette. Where are Yao Yao and Shu? Lin Yi asked casually. The miss went upstairs. Qintian said, It's not convenient for them to go downstairs with us guys. You know it's not convenient, so why aren't you going back to your rooms? You're hogging the living room. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 23:33. Lin Yi nodded and said, Pai Jishan, get ready with Elder Pai and Elder Wu. I'll help you guys level up later. I have something to do now, so I'll go back to my room first. Okay, we'll wait for you. Pai Jishan heard that Lin Yi was going to help him level up, so he quickly replied. After Lin Yi returned to his room, the first thing he did was to find the supplementary martial arts technique that he copied from the hidden Han family and study it carefully. This martial skill was called Spring Rain from the Heavens. Although it was also divided into 20 moves, there was no difference in strength between the moves of each level. The only difference was that the first move could instantly restore the physical strength and true chi of one person. The second move could restore the physical strength and true chi of 2 people. The third move could restore the physical strength and true chi of 3 people, and so on. At most, it could restore the physical strength and true chi of 20 people at once. Of course, although the number of recovery increased, the total amount of physical strength and chi recovered was still the same. It was just that it was evenly divided from 1 person to 2, 3, or even more. The amount of physical strength and chi recovered was completely dependent on the user's will and time. In other words, if Linny wanted to, he could keep using it until his physical strength and chi were all used up. This might be a super nightmare for others, but for Lin Yi it was no problem. After all, Lin Yi was different from others. His physical strength and chi were all used up, but he could still recover quickly. This martial arts technique was really not bad. But under what circumstances could it be used? Lin Yi continued to look, but the usage conditions at the back made Lin Yi happy. Basically, it meant that there were no usage conditions. This was because this supplementary martial arts technique was active for the user, but for the recipient it was passive. After all, even if the recipient was an enemy, after the martial arts technique was used, they wouldn't be at a disadvantage. So, no one would be stupid enough to let the enemy use it. And no matter what state their own people were in, whether they were fighting or doing nothing, they could still accept Lin Yi's physical strength and chi transfer. That's it. After Lin Yi finished reading, he was overjoyed. This martial skill was practically tailor-made for him and Han Jingjing. Han Jingjing was refining pills on the other side and had no stamina and chi, but Lin Yi could continuously replenish her energy. Under the situation where she didn't have to be distracted, she could unknowingly recover her stamina, allowing her to smoothly complete the process of refining pills. After confirming this, he wasn't in a rush anymore. He just needed to slowly master this technique, and he'd be able to help Han Jingjing concoct pills. What he needed to do now was to raise Pai Jishan, Elder Pai, and Wu Gonggao's strength. He left the room to see Grandma Sun, who was cleaning up the living room. She smiled when she saw Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin, I called Li Fu just now. He said he's already here." "All right." Lin Yi nodded and went to Qin Tian's room. The night passed peacefully, and the next morning, Pai Jishan and Elder Pai both stepped into Mystic Late Phase Peak. Although they were Mystic Late Phase Peak, they didn't have Pai Jihai's comprehension. They couldn't break through to Earth class in one go. Perhaps only someone like Pai Jihai, who only cared about martial arts, could break through in such a short amount of time. Others were busy with work. Even if old Pai was at the early phase of Sky class, he still couldn't break through to Earth class in such a short amount of time. No return for Elder Pai. Breaking through to Earth class or even higher was just a matter of time. With Pai Jihai as an example, he wasn't in a hurry to take the small chi gathering pill. It was also a matter of face. He was already a Sky class master, and if he couldn't break through to Earth class by himself, it would be too embarrassing. Pai Jishan, on the other hand, didn't have this problem. He wasn't a martial arts fanatic and he was a junior. When he realized that he couldn't break through, he took the chi gathering pill, and with Lin Yi's help he broke through to Earth class early phase, becoming a true dual practitioner Earth class early phase master. This made Pai Jishan very happy. Leveling up was easy and fun. He didn't think that he'd be able to achieve anything in the first place. After all, his main focus was on how to develop House Pai, and as a support, Pai Jihai would be enough for House Pai. But now, it seemed that leveling up was a pleasant surprise. What made Jihai the happiest was that he was able to hug onto Lin Yi's thighs. Lin Yi looked like an Earth-class mid-phase master, but Lin Yi didn't have the power of an Earth-class mid-phase master. If it wasn't someone close to Lin Yi, they wouldn't know about this. "Thank you, boss." Pai Jishan cupped his fist. "From now on, Jihai and I will be boss's powerful follower. We won't hesitate to climb mountains or swim seas." Elder Wu, it's your turn now," Lin Yi said. "It's a bit slower than expected, and I had some personal matters to take care of, but you'll be able to level up soon. No rush, no rush." Gong Gao said in fear. It all depends on Mr. Lin's time. Then let's start now. Faubert will be here soon. Let's settle your stuff first. Lin nodded. Wu Gong Gao was the weakest among them, and he didn't have the support of an external style, so it was hard for him to level up his internal style. Wu Gong Gao's external style was still at the middle phase of the mystic class, and once he surpassed the middle phase of the mystic class, the process of leveling up would be painful. Fortunately, Gong Gao was very patient. Physical practitioners like him might not be strong in other areas, but they were rare in terms of endurance. Back then, Qin Tian had been in great pain, but he had been able to endure it. Very quickly, Wu Gonggao's spiritual qi reached the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, but he needed to rely on the qi gathering pill to break through. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to break through to the earth class. Although he knew from Qin Tian that Lin Yi could help people level up, he was still quite shocked after experiencing it firsthand. He looked at Lin Yi, who didn't seem to be proud of himself at all, with a complicated feeling in his heart. By the time they finished, it was already 9 in the morning. But it was Saturday, so they didn't have to worry about school. Chapter 23:34. The Miss and Shu hadn't woken up yet, and even if they did, they were still playing in their bedroom. My friend will be here to discuss some things. You guys can discuss breakfast on your own, Lin Yi said. Grandma's son has something to do as well. Since Grandma's son was going to be with them, they didn't have much food to eat. Okay, no problem, we'll go buy some food now. We've been in Donghai for so long, and we haven't had a chance to walk around. Old Pai was a shrewd old man, and naturally knew that Lin Yi was avoiding them. Even if they didn't listen, it would be awkward at home, so they might as well leave. I'll call you guys after I'm done here, Lin Yi said. What he meant was, don't come back until I call you guys. No problem. Pai Zhishan agreed quickly, and so Qin Tian and the others didn't waste any time and left the villa. Old Pai came with his car, but it was parked in the public parking lot, and there was no more space in the villa. Mr. Lin, why is there still my business? Grandma's son asked curiously after Qin Tian and Pai Zhishan left. And it's about you and Faubert, but we can only talk about it privately. Lin Yi said, I'll go check on Skybolt Pig and Purple Thunderbolt Beast first. Call me when Faubert comes. Okay. Grandma's son nodded. She didn't know what it was, but since Lin Yi said that, it must be something important. Lin Yi walked to the villa's backyard. After Skybolt Pig came back yesterday, he went to tell Purple Thunderbolt Beast and General Weiwu about what he saw and heard. When Lin Yi walked over, he was still excitedly talking to Purple Thunderbolt Beast and General Weiwu. Seeing that Lin Yi had arrived, the little fellow stopped talking. However, Lin Yi could guess that it was probably talking about the Fire Lion race and the Spider race. Phone, I'll have to trouble you with Wang Xinyan's matter when I'm not here. Lin Yi walked over and rubbed the Purple Lightning Beast's head. Roar! The Purple Electric Tempest Beast smiled shyly, as if it was embarrassed by Lin Yi's politeness. Lin Yi nodded. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast was his contracted spiritual beast, so it was his duty to help him. Lin Yi naturally couldn't be arrogant, so he didn't say anything more. Instead, he asked, Little Feng, how did you do it with the true qi you injected into Pai Zhihai's body? Can I do it? Roar, roar. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast pointed at itself and nodded. Then it pointed at Lin Yi and shook its head. What do you mean? You can do it, but I can't? Lin Yi roughly understood what the Purple Electric Tempest Beast was trying to say. Oink, oink. Skybolt Pig translated for Lin Yi and started writing on the sand. Feng said that this is a special ability of spirit beasts, because their pure energy doesn't come from using their practitioner's arts. They can transfer it to others, but humans can't. Even I can't do it. Lin Yi felt that he was the special one. Roar. The purple electric tempest beast shook its head and explained to Lin Yi. It said that you can't do it either, and this kind of attack isn't very useful. Sky Thunder Pig continued to write. Most of the time, this kind of thing can't enter a person's body. Only when the person is an external martial artist, without chi protection will it be effective. Internal martial artists with chi protection will not be able to enter their body unless they are unknowingly ambushed. However, it can only be used to ambush low-level experts. High-level experts will notice before they even get close. Moreover, not all of them are useful against physical practitioners. For example, those physical practitioners with golden bell cover and iron shirt can't inject true chi. Experts who use some special method to change the position of meridians and acupoints are also ineffective because true chi can't be injected into their bodies. So that's how it is. Seeing Skybolt Pig's translation, Lin Yi's enthusiasm decreased a lot. Most of the people Lin Yi met were internal practitioners. There were very few physical practitioners, so this ability was a little useless. Roar, roar. The purple electric tempest beast nodded and roared a few more times. It said, "Can't your true chi bomb also hit people? Why must you learn it?" Skybolt Pig translated. The true chi bomb can only hurt people, and it needs to be compressed. It's a little troublesome. It's not like your true chi bomb that can make the enemy faint in pain. Lin Yi shook his head and said. He was a little disappointed. He thought too much. But thinking about it carefully, it was normal. If the spirit beast's true chi was this powerful, wouldn't it be invincible? Lin Yi decided not to study the purple electric tempest beast's ability for now. If he had the time, he might as well study the supplementary martial skill, Heavenly Spring Rain. Xiao Yi. Lin Yi was just about to study the supplementary martial skill when he heard Faubert's voice from behind. Faubert, you're here? Lin Yi turned around and saw Faubert and Grandma Sun standing in the mansion. Yeah, I went to an event with Mr. Chu last night and couldn't come. I came early this morning. Mr. Chu is here too. He's upstairs talking to Miss Chu. Faubert said, I heard from Luoyin that you have something to talk to me about. Yeah, there's something I need to talk to you and Grandma Sunday. Linny nodded and said, let's go to my room. Okay. Faubert didn't think that Lin Yi would have to hide something from others. Normally, they could talk in the living room since Pingzhan went upstairs. But Lin Yi said to go to his room. It was a secret. Lin Yi, Faubert, and Grandma Sun went to his room. Lin Yi sat on the bed while Faubert and Grandma Sun sat on the sofa in Lin Yi's room. Lin Yi gave each of them a bottle of water and said, I'll tell you this. You have to be mentally prepared. Mentally prepared. Faubert paused. He didn't think that Lin Yi would start with this. Xiao Yi, what happened? Faubert, your sect is located in the Wulonghout Mountains, right? Lin Yi didn't answer Faubert's question, but asked instead. Oh. Faubert's eyes widened and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Xiao Yi, how did you know? I don't think I've told you about this before. Chapter 2335. So it's true. Lin Yi had already guessed that Faubert's sect was destroyed in Wulonghout Mountains. But seeing Faubert admitted himself, Lin Yi still sighed. So, the world was just this small. That's right. Faubert nodded. Since you asked, I won't deny it. I didn't tell you before because I was afraid that you would be impulsive or leak the news. But Xiao Yi, how did you know about this place? A while ago I went out. Do you know where I went? Lin Yi asked. Of course I know you went out. Luoyin told me on the phone. But where you went, how would I know? Li Fu was a bit puzzled. Lin Yi's sudden change in topic was too big, jumping from the previous topic to this one. Wulonghout Mountains. Lin Yi nodded and said seriously. What? You went to Wulonghout Mountains? That's near Re-Illida town. Why did you go there? Faubert was shocked after hearing Lin Yi's words. Why did you go there? I have to go back to a few months ago. I brought Xiao Xiao to the extreme north to seek medical help and participate in the Ice Palace's trial. Lin Yi knew that this couldn't be explained in one go. He had to start from the beginning. Although Lin Yi had told Faubert, Miss, Shu, and the others about the Ice Palace trial, he didn't tell them about the heaven-ranked monster. First, Lin Yi didn't think it was important. Second, Lin Yi didn't plan on keeping the map for himself. He just wanted to keep it safe for the monster. So he didn't mention this topic. But it was different now. He had to start from the first time he met the monster. Oh, what does it have to do with the Ice Palace trial? Faubert asked curiously. Just as Lin Yi thought, Faubert knew about the Ice Palace trial. After the Ice Palace trial ended, some things happened. It wasn't important at the time, so I didn't talk about it. But it has a lot to do with this matter, so I have to start from the beginning. Lin Yi said and told Faubert about the heaven-ranked monster in the cave. At first, Faubert heard Lin Yi say that there was a heaven-ranked monster in the cave. He was a bit confused. But when he heard Lin Yi say that the monster called him Li'er and said something about escaping, Faubert's body suddenly trembled and he exclaimed, "Exclamation point!" After that, he gave me half of the map. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and took out the half of the map and gave it to Faubert. It seemed like his guess was right. Faubert, was that Li'er? Little E, the heaven-ranked monster you met is mine. It's definitely mine. Faubert took Lin Yi's map with trembling hands and looked at it. He said with more certainty, "That's right, this map is the treasure map of the Wulong Haut mountain range. Back then, I also had half of it." Sun Luowa was at a loss because she couldn't remember the past. However, she also felt Uncle Fu's strange emotions. She silently hugged his arm as if she was comforting him and cheering for him. Before this, I didn't know that you two were related and didn't think in this direction. So, please forgive me for not telling you this, said Lin Yi. Little E, you didn't do anything wrong. Instead, I have to thank you for helping me and relieving the pain of my headache. Faubert waved his hand and said solemnly, also, since this map was given to you, it proves that you and him are fated. This is your fortune. This is the origin of this half of the map, said Lin Yi. Huh. Yeah, this is only half of the map. You went to the Wulong Haut mountain range to look for treasure? This half of the map is useless? Faubert suddenly thought of this problem and asked curiously, the other half of the map, you probably don't have it. I probably don't have it, but just before I went to the Wulong Haut mountain range, I accidentally found the other half of the map. This is also the reason why I went to the Wulong Haut mountain range, said Lin Yi. The other half of the map? Faubert suddenly stood up. The excitement made his words a little shaky. Oh, where did you find the other half of the map? On a person's body. Lin Yi said, Faubert, I went to the Wulong Haut mountain range with another person. Grandma's son should know who this person is. Who? Faubert was stunned. Sun Luowa just said that Lin Yi went out with a friend. Where and with whom? Faubert didn't ask. At this moment, he turned to look at Grandma's son and asked, Sun Jingyi of the Sun family should be considered a relative of mine. Grandma's son didn't know the hidden story and said truthfully, Sun Jingyi, what? It's her? After hearing this, Faubert was stunned. Tears couldn't help but flow from his eyes. This was a kind of happiness that was hard to describe. It was the feeling and happiness of surviving a disaster. Xiao, what do you want to say? Sun Jingyi has a jade pendant, and the map was taken from the jade pendant. Lin, he said, and this time in the Wulong Haut mountain range, I met the Heaven Ranker again. One time, when the Heaven Ranker woke up, he suddenly realized that I wasn't Li'er and wanted to harm me. But when Sun Jingyi stopped him, the Heaven Ranker said that she was you, so he let me go. I think Faubert should understand who she is. This is also the reason why I'm looking for you in private. Luoyue, Jingyi is our daughter. Faubert held Sun Luiwe's hand excitedly and said very happily, so our daughter didn't die and returned to the Sun family. She really didn't die. No wonder when I first saw her, I felt that she was very familiar. I thought it was because she was a relative, but I didn't expect that she was our daughter. At this time, Sun Luiwe was also a little confused. Although she didn't remember the past, she still knew that she had a daughter who was killed by the enemy. When she thought about it, she would be sad. But she didn't expect that her daughter didn't die. Not dead, and it's still Sun Jingyi. Sun Luiwe was very surprised, and an expression of disbelief appeared on her face, but it was quickly replaced by a happy smile. No matter what, whether she remembered or not, it was always a good thing that her daughter didn't die. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.